just going to hit record. There's also, if you hover your mouse to the bottom of the screen, Ella, see that there's a place to mute your mic if we're getting noise from you, but if you're going to talk, make sure you unmute. But I don't hear any bad noise, so I think you can just leave it on. Okay. And then you'll also see that there's a green screen share button. So if you ever want to show him something that's on a computer screen of yours, something that you've drawn, you want to show him, you just click that, and then your screens that you want to choose from will pop up in front of you, and you click it, you'll be able to share. There's also a chat bar if you need to type something. You know, if you ever can't hear or you've got having a problem, just there's a way that you can raise your hand, I think, too, so you can let him know what you need, okay?
Okay.
All right, so have fun. Great, so I'm going to take off.
Meeting so many good people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll have a lot of fun.
I'm just sort of, I got your work already up on the screen. I'm just trying to get everyone else's too.
Oh, good job. Christy really brought that a long way. I think it's really cool. Good.
I like these pink ones better because they have a little bigger. Are these from a certain one of the arts sharing house?
Can you see my screen, Ella?
No, I cannot.
Okay, you can see the class. Well, that's okay, because we're gonna actually. So what I'm gonna do first. So guys, what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna go through a bunch of first year's portfolios, and we're gonna have a look at some of the people that were successful last year that got in this year. So I told you a bunch of you this already, but
So do your screen share.
yeah, and it's recording.
Yeah, it's recording already.
Okay, great.
So.
Oh, yeah, totally. Okay, so now you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna stay here.
If you knew for it, I'll just send you a text.
I was hoping no Blind Jedi was going to have the lightsaber. I was
That
really
was so cool. Seriously. The most epic.
I was thinking at the end, is there even going to be a lightsaber shown on Darth Vader? Yes.
Okay, so. Oh, by the way, guys, so this is the structure for today's workshop. First, I'm going to show the portfolio stuff. Then we're going to go through, we can do these in any order you guys want. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add to this? Is there any specific thing, like, even, yeah, like something like that, like a particular expression, or we can even talk about other things other than character, like personal pieces. Ella, you're applying to Sheridan too?
What?
Are you applying to Sheridan too?
Probably.
Okay, well, it's in your last name, so yeah. So yeah, if there's anything that anyone wants to add at any time that you forgot about, just sort of have a little list going as we move throughout the class, and we can add it to the list, and I'll go through it whenever you guys want. But yeah, we should use this for the best of all of your advantages. So if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, including like structure and like how you're going to get the whole portfolio done in time, that's absolutely okay too, obviously. So first, this is I think to get to this site, this is just basically all of the blogs of all the students currently at Sheridan that actually are using blogs. So there's like the graduated class of 2016, the fourth year class, the third year, second year. So you can just go through any of them, click on it, and it'll bring you to their blogs and lets you, or their Instagram, I guess. But so yeah, so this is amazing that like you can just kind of see anyone's work. The first years is always the smallest because people are sort of just getting into the blogging world, even though some of them have it for so long. So I'm pretty sure to get to this, you can just search Sheridan Animation Blogs. Yeah, it's the first thing that comes up. So Sheridan Animation Blog. It's like a little hidden gem that a lot of people don't actually know about. So yeah, if you ever want to look at other, and it's good because you can find what their portfolios look like. So that's basically what I've done is I've sort of comb through a bunch of the blogs, and we're going to have a look at some of the different work that people handed in for their portfolio. Some of them even posted their marking sheet, which is pretty awesome, and kind of rare to actually see that. So I think I'm going to start from the beginning, actually. This guy. So this guy, I actually know. He's in my figure drawing a bunch of times, and he's great. He has one of my favorite characters that I've seen in recent memory, which if you guys want to see, it's I think the first one. Oh no, this is his marking sheet. So pretty pixelated, but did pretty well, 3.67. That's significant. So basically, the marks are all out of 4. You can kind of see at the bottom, it says 3.51 to 4 is exceeds the standard, and then 3.2 to 3.5 is meets the standard. So, but the thing is, like, you guys probably know this, but how it works is depending on each year that applies, that's what sets the average for that year. So, it could change if you're in a particularly good year. Kind of sucks. It's just part of the deal. If everyone's good, it ups the average a little bit. So for my year, the average was 2.97, which was also my passing grade, embarrassingly. So I just sneaked in there. But the average has actually probably gone up, I'm guessing. It kind of goes up all the time. So they're probably going to extend it to being marked out of 10 soon, so they get more specificity. But so yeah, you can see like in each area what they're actually marking. Like you can see how story is in almost every single category except for, well, yeah, obviously there's no story with the line quality. Even in proportion. What does that say, proportion? That's strange. Oh, sorry, this is the storyboard. Storyboard. So the storyboard has the most amount of categories that it can be marked in. So it's a big part, which is funny because I feel like often people do the storyboard like kind of last, or they just kind of, most people work more on their character and their life drawing, and the storyboard they just, they don't leave as much time for it, but it's like has the most areas of marking here. So yeah, it's not marked on line quality. That's interesting. So this is Aldi. I think his name was just Abe. I think that's what he goes by.
You can color it?
So this is in first portfolio. This is his first year assignment. But still, like really, really good. Like awesome expressions. Like he's got this hilarious chin thing going on. And like I love this one. This one I think is just great. This kind of sad one. Because he's like squashing the face and then like bending it out. It's like it's doing like this kind of thing, which is like very, in most of the poses, the head's kind of like straight, or it kind of bends around a little bit. But this one, it just like completely, that chin comes out to like make him feel very shrunken. But really great. Also, one thing that I mentioned before that's very important is the diversity of angles. So notice that some of them have like, they're a 3/4 shot, but they're looking up a little bit. Some of them, they're looking more straight out. Some they're looking down slightly. And so this one's difficult. I mean, look at it, it's coming straight at us, but it's still slightly asymmetrical. It's not quite, it kind of favors this side a bit more. We're seeing more of that side, and this side's like, you can tell because of the distance from, it's pretty equal actually, but this line usually indicates that it's mostly seeing that left side. And then the profile, even, he did really well, and just like real great variety here. But yeah, I mean, the coloring adds a lot to it as well. So he got, I'm pretty sure he got perfect on his character, or well, this was his, I think I have his actual portfolio right up here. Yeah. So this was his portfolio. So his light drawing was pretty great. Very light touch. It's like really, I remember how I always tell you guys not to do it too heavy-handed. You want to kind of just light little strokes. It's pretty light here. Like there, you can see there's some underdrawing. Like there's some underdrawing in here and through here. So he did like, he drew the stick. You can see the stick figure and stuff. You can still see all that detail, but he didn't add any detail that wasn't really needed. I especially like this one. This one's probably a bit long. Yeah, it's 5 minutes. And yeah, he didn't really, it's not as bold lined as I draw and that I kind of tell you guys to draw, but it also really works. Like you can see a lot of the head structure, especially this whole area is really great. Lots of nice detail there. Even the hyperextension of that arm is very apparent. it feels like it has a lot of force, and it's also in movement, which I'm pretty sure is one of the criteria. You need some poses that show a bit of movement. Animals, I'm not going to talk about that because you don't have to do them anymore, which is pretty great. The hand, does anyone know what the hand is very specific now. Yeah, it has to be something throwing. So you can't kind of just do whatever you want now. You have to do something throwing. Like there's another person that did something throwing. But yeah, really good hand. Character design, super, super simple character design.
Adorable.
Yeah, you know, nothing too complex. Show the underdrawing. That's very important to show the blue line underneath or whatever color. It doesn't really matter. And also notice that she's actually standing on a plane. That's one thing that I talk about a lot too, is that you need to have her grounded to some kind of structure. It can't just be like level perfectly. Yeah, nice variety of expressions. Also notice the variety of angles. She has some from, or he has some from this side and the other side. Straightforward. Almost a profile.
Glasses are like all schematic.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice and simple.
Love how expressive the hair is.
I wish I could make this
That
bigger.
one.
Which one?
Which one?
It's all straight and like rounded until like the surprise, I guess, face where it's like spiked out.
Yeah.
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 It's just subtle. It's too cute.
Nice poses. And they're also kind of related. Now I think the poses are all part of the same story. You have to have somebody that's going to pick up litter, picks up litter, and then throws it away, I think. So it's very specific now.
Maybe it's like a PSA for
Storyboarding. I think you did really well on the storyboard. Yeah, all fours except for believable character. It's hard to see them. They're a little small and I can't make them bigger. This one is kind of cool. So he had a dragon living inside of a bowl or something. And so it like burst out of it or like cast everything up into flame kind of a cool idea. So I think that's part of the portfolio instruction now too, is that something fantastical happens to it or something. It's like slightly different than, because before it's just like something has to happen. It's kind of left open. And I think they really want more of this kind of thing where you show some kind of cool story of your own that's happened to it. A student that I tutored last year, she had like a whole band of fairies came and was like messing around with all the objects. So in the after shot of the objects, there's like all these fairies like in the containers, mucking around, one's like playing music. So it was like, it was a way to bring like a lot of character design stuff into her object drawing, which is kind of cool.
What is the red spot in there? Like, what is that?
This?
No, up in the that
This one.
What is
That's the dragon.
Oh, because I thought you weren't allowed to have like a character in the object shop.
Is that true? Does anyone know?
This year it's an earthquake. They give
Yeah.
they
An
give you
earthquake.
the situation.
Oh, okay. So maybe, well, yeah, that's much more limited, I guess.
Before you were allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
This one is pretty good. See, a lot of people do this kind of thing where they have someone in motion and then something's happened. So there's like a big pot that's like flaming. And there's lots of nice detail in here. It's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit small on the screen, but lots of nice detail in here, some overlapping forms, and the line gets lighter as it goes back into space. So that's very important to show a sense of atmospheric perspective, which is darker lines in the foreground, lighter lines in the background to convey that without having shade at all. Let's go to some more people. So this one's a little bolder with their light drawing. You know, it's pretty basic, pretty good. Nice poses, very clear. Sense of movement and motion here. Nothing really is being missed here. Don't need to do the animals. Nice hand, little strange with. Some people really emphasize the tendons. Only do that if you actually see them, because it's gonna feel like kind of bony if you're drawing all the tendons very, very precisely. So it's not absolutely necessary. Again, really simple character, but notice how there's a great character silhouette. See, if you were to just block this all out as a black and white shape, you'd have a real, like you'd be able to tell this character from a whole cast of characters really easily because of that dress and the two little shapes here. All those things help to make it more unique. Some of these expressions I feel like could have been developed a bit more. Like this is just this, I mean, it's good to show a profile, another variety of different poses, but you know, make it a little more, I feel like it could be a bit more interesting, whether by like including more facial detail, maybe a little bit more asymmetry. Some of these are a little bit too symmetrical or the same. So this is kind of fun. It's a bit of a crazy expression. I thought this was cool. Again, it's not quite as what you're going to be able to do now, but she had the pumpkin grow and turn into this like creature that was like reading it. So all this contributed to like this ultimate scene.
She doing like a Halloween motif?
Yeah, it looks like it. This one, nice room drawing, lots of detail, but not too much so that it confuses things. I noticed some people, they'll do like really intense detail in some areas, and then other areas are very, you know, not much detail. But the thing that we're supposed to be looking at is in that area without much detail, and it's hard to do that because it's competing with the interest. So notice how there's lots of space behind her head and silhouette. That really focuses the interest on that person. Whereas if she was like sitting somewhere over here, that would be a lot to compete with. So be wary of where you're putting things. Even this basket, see how detailed this basket is? It's like really, she drew all the little ribs of that, and it's like, even though that's the case, that is how those baskets often are, it's not necessary to draw all that. You just want to apply the texture without necessarily having to draw every single little strand of it. This one works. There's something weird going on up here. It feels like this area back here is on a different plane, like it's up some stairs or something. And also the feet and legs are a little bit small. But, you know, she got in, so she must have had some other things that were working really well. This is a pretty intensely detailed storyboard. I feel like if you're going to do this, which apparently is okay, be careful because this is like almost stepping outside of the realms of like cartoon and animation. I mean, it's okay. It's just for a storyboard is super, super simple. It's like no detail, no rendering, because that's left to the layout artist. So don't confuse the priorities of that. Like there's a reason that storyboards are simple. So just stay as simple as you can. Even like all this, you know, tree rendering and stuff that's going on. Like, I mean, good on her, but it's just not, it's not where I would spend my time. This looks like some personal stuff, which is pretty cool. You know how the whole portfolio is without color, so it's nice in your personal pieces if you can show a little bit of a sense of color. Yeah, she's really going for it. Nice mix of things. It's funny that she got away because you're supposed to have three portfolio things or three personal pieces, I think, but she did like. She just included this as like digital artwork, which I guess includes is just one piece, but I mean, this is several pieces. And then she did a little layout of a house, which is kind of cool. She showed the perspective underdrawing and then showed how she kind of made it more dilapidated. That's kind of interesting, I thought. And then bone studies. It's always nice to show some anatomy stuff. I don't know how much she put in this because she only is supposed to have a couple, but. And then she actually had an animated video. So I think you're allowed to do that. That's pretty cool, actually, that she included that. This guy I thought was quite strong. And this is, again, look at these hand drawings, like it's like, it almost feels like oh no. I guess I can't. His left drawing was a little bit, shoot, I don't know how this works. Like clicking backwards and forth. Okay. So. Yeah, these are his light drawings. Not quite what animation is typically looking for. They're a little more rendered. It really doesn't like me clicking next. So yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised that they were down to have like that. This is good. This would also work for Earthquake, kind of. Because it's very, again, with the characters. It really made this into like a whole layout. This was his character. Oh. I'll say it's really getting in trouble. But yeah, notice how also in his really dynamic angles in his storyboard, that's not absolutely necessary, but it worked in these layouts sort of. So he had darker lines to emphasize what was in the foreground. Did a pretty good job of staying on character, I'd say. This shot is the only one that I thought was kind of weird because there's no like horizon line or anything, so I'm kind of confused how everything is sitting. And this also isn't grounded on anything. It almost feels like the cameraman zoomed in too far and was like confused about what was going on. So I don't know, I would have changed that. But his character works pretty well, despite the detail. That's quite a bit of detail. But the hands are pretty good. Pretty tricky too, actually, to do that kind of thing. Yeah, works pretty well. Oh no. This person, they did a kind of very different character, which I thought was kind of cool, like an alien type character. Still very simple, but had some details. Notice how like things like the chain and the spike, even this rim, the collar of the jacket, you notice how these things could have been much more complicated than they made it. Like if they made this piece of the collar poking out a bit and having all these like buttons on it, or lots of wrinkles in the coat, they pretty much they forgot about all the other wrinkles that could have been in the coat. Like even here, where there probably would have been a crease right there, they just didn't include that because there was already enough detail in this whole coat to be okay. And the pants, almost no wrinkle detail. So that's one thing that I've been rethinking a lot, is I feel like when I mark your character design, sometimes I'm like, put some wrinkles in and some drapery, and I'm like, I don't know if that's actually necessary. I feel like a lot of these characters don't have that unless it's a very extreme pose. So I might not mention those kind of things for feedback as much. But yeah, really consistent shapes here. I thought they did a great job with this character. Awesome pose. Yeah, just great, simple, like everything's sort of working here. Nice expressions. I think they could have taken them a bit further, especially with the eyebrows in this one. They could have been a little bit more furrowed, I would say. It's not bad. This one kind of looks tired. Oh, I guess it's sad, but it kind of looks like it's a yawning expression to me. Be careful of that, doubling up on that. So I've seen a lot of this kind of thing, where there's like a big creature, tentacles. There's actually, of these portfolios, there's 2 that involve tentacles coming out of another room. So, I mean, I guess there's no option to do that now, but actually, no, there is, because you just need to do the same room from a fantastical point of view, right? So I would advise you maybe to not do tentacles. I feel like that's a big, yeah.
You do tend to like this character.
Yeah, definitely. Nice line quality. Oh, cool. It was they made something out of it. That's very clever. Shoot, it's a shame that you can't do something like that anymore. But that's actually a really cool idea. See, this is I feel like this is actually a really good storyboard because, and again, the trees, everything is very simple. Nothing is competing with the attention of the action, I would say. Like it's very clear where we're supposed to be looking. Nothing super complex, no dramatic camera angles like that other guy. Just like straight on, long shot, medium shot, kind of close up on both of them. So yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, so this was a guy who I thought had some weaker areas in some ways. Like I feel like his line quality could have been a bit better here. Notice how it's a little bit sketchy. Like you see the underdrawing, but it's just like even this, like the amount of detail in this tail is a bit too much. Like what you're saying, Taylor, earlier with Nancy Beeman, she just wanted like the simplest simple thing. This is like I don't know. It's like, is that detail really adding that much to the character? I'd pretty much be the same character without that much detail. This is pretty good. This kind of feels like an earthquake has happened too. So this one, so I'm really gonna like try not to do something that's just like looking at a TV. It's just like not the most interesting thing, and like a lot of people that are applied to animation are like into video games. So that's like the first thing that they think of. And so you get like a lot of things that are like this. So it's just not like, I feel like he must have lost some marks and creativity on this one. Because if something was coming out of the TV or something was happening, maybe. But I don't know. I would be careful with that. And also this table over here is totally not really working. Like the fact that it even included PS4 in the box, it's like they do not care about that. That's like the last of your worries.
And plus it's a corner, so it's not really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, there's just so many other things that you could do with it. This is a personal piece, I'm guessing, which is pretty nice actually. Nice little rendering, especially because most of your working portfolio is very simple and not very dolled up. So if you want to show some variety that you can really bring out the detail in something, then that's not a bad idea. Not sure why this one was in there. It seems like it was a personal piece, but a longer personal piece, not too bad to include. I like this. This is a very good thing to include. It's like a little digital painting of like, it looks like, to me, this looks like a story that this guy's working on. And it's good to see that. It's good to see that you're kind of building your own stories with or without the program telling you to do that. Because that's not a requirement. But yeah, I feel like he was a little off character in some of these. To be completely honest, I hope that he never sees me saying this, but like I'm surprised he got it. Like, I don't know, do you guys feel it at all? Like, I feel like it's okay, but it's like so many people are doing this kind of thing. It's just not I don't know, it's not super clever. And nothing's sticking out to me as like exceptional, except for maybe this piece of his, which is like, then I get to see some personality. See how much of a breath of fresh air this is to see this amidst like the other stuff. I feel like it's just like, wow, that's really nice to see a little personal thing like this. Animal drawings actually are pretty good. Yeah, the life drawings are pretty good too. This one has a good sense of weight and gravity. Yeah, the life drawing's definitely stronger. And like he could have varied this a little bit more, and it was kind of like this kind of like going up to the left angle happening here, and I'm like, oh, well, you could have changed that, or like have him bend down, or like just compared to like Abe's here. Well, his character. Just a little bit more variety. Oh no. Go over here. I don't think this was done for a portfolio, but I thought this was a kind of cool character. Very different shapes. Whenever you get an animal, that's the nice thing about doing animals is you can get some really cool shapes in there. These might have also been during first year, but really great example of strong character expressions. Like look at some of these. See how it always looks like the same character consistently throughout this whole set?
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Even the shading and the line of the hair. That's even a bit too much detail for a portfolio, but the face and very expressive, but very simple. It takes a while to get used to that kind of thing. You can shed more. Yeah. Like really, really simple. It's almost like a Pink Panther-y, how bendy the limbs are. That's good. Yeah. Lower hair. Oh, I love this guy's object drawings. See, look at this. So basically, he has it going in zero gravity.
Oh.
So here are all the objects. Oh, I don't like that it goes to Instagram. Another thing, be careful how you arrange your blog. Make it as easy as possible to use. You can tell the ones that are difficult to navigate right away. These are all projects from first year. This was good. Thought that was really strong. Live drawing is very good on this person. Very, very good and dynamic. That is an amazing pose. But this is in first year, so don't worry about this. Let's get to that portfolio.
The Canadian guy in the singles.
Oh. These were great too, his room drawings. Lots of nice details. Notice how you can really tell the difference when someone like spends the time to make their line quality nice. You see the difference here? Just like so clear. no like sketchiness, just like so. And maybe I'm biased towards that. I really like really beautiful clean lines, but like even the bookshelf, it's not taking attention away from this character. You get or these foreground lines because they're darker and they're like there's a bit of variety in how the lines look. Feels like it's more organic shaped. Even like the Kleenex box, how everything's a little bit bent. It's not perfect. Because nothing is perfect. Everything's always in a kind of mash. Yeah, and I just love this objects like that is. It's like difficult to draw objects that are on a surface. Never mind flying up in the air. Especially these brushes. Like look at that. It's so crazy. It's coming right out. And the liquid. Yeah, obviously had to imagine that, like what that would look like. Yeah, it's pretty great. Good hand drawings. It's funny, it's a little stylized. It feels like it's almost like a little whimsical or something. Good animal drawings. Pretty good expressions. Pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, some of them don't quite feel like the same character for some reason. I don't know. Do you guys feel that? Like they could be kind of two characters in there. It's a bit.
The eyes.
Yeah, the eyes are really changing shape. Yeah, you can like push those things a little bit, but you really have to be careful. Like here, see how this comes back like that? That's like saying that the bone is like breaking and twisting around. That's not going to happen as much as it's going to come down. And like it rotates from that joint. It doesn't actually like change position. So yeah, and this it almost looks like a beard. Like that's what a beard would do if it would be moving around. Cool poses though. Makes sense. You get a sense of who this guy actually is. He's a composer of some kind. See, I actually like kind of like this better than some of his expressions.
What's that character design for this thing where you're supposed to make one like sideways simple and the other complex? Right?
Sorry?
You said that. I think it was one of the Disney storyboarders. You're supposed to like make one line, like one side of the character very simple with the other line complex.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole straight and curve thing. It usually doesn't have to be a complete straight line like this character, but it does fit sort of for this kind of character. That's probably going to be a bit of a straight edge. But yeah, like straight versus curve. You see it all the time, a bunch of different character designs. Okay, gotta get this thing out of the way. I'm just gonna make this. I don't think this is for a portfolio, but I thought this is just great. Another example of like very, very simple shapes, no extra detail, and yet they still have some folds, some very simple drapery in the clothing, very subtly, but mostly it's pretty solid, chunky shapes. It's funny because I feel like when I was applying, there was a lot more students that were adding more drapery, but now there's like this big movement back towards like very, very flat looking clothing and stuff. But it totally works, and the expressions are still there. Also variety of angle, back 3/4 pose, front 3/4 profile, looking up, looking down, looking back. Like see the nice thing about seeing this much like difference, I guess, is that if you gave that to a character designer and animator, they could pretty much know everything that character is going to do. That's like the role of a character designer, is to show enough poses that push it to the extreme so that it's easy to figure out any other pose that they might do. So this is a pretty good example of that. Even kind of streaming perspective here with that little tiny leg in the background. So this person, me and Taylor were looking at them because Taylor actually went to school with this person. She has some great work and then some work that's slightly sketchier, like even the character design. The line quality isn't the greatest. The poses are great. Like they make sense. I would have changed this one a little bit maybe, but and also this feels a bit flat. Could have changed that angle a little bit. But the sketchiness is just a little, like this is where I would have put a paper on top of this and just refined it a little bit more, just like one layer of refining after this. But yeah, it's not bad. But you should see their light drawing is awesome, very expressive, and like simplistic in some ways. But you can still see all the necessary pieces here. I really like this one actually, because you have a good sense of what's happening here without anything. Not everything is described explicitly, I guess. But her personal pieces were fantastic. Let's see some of these. She actually made this like little pop-out toy thing, like such a cool, it's just such a different idea. Like you're really going to be memorable if you do something different like this. And then she made this monster, this little anxiety monster thing. It's like such a cool idea. And little comic. And even like a little stop motion figurine. This could easily be like a little animated stop motion character. So I feel like this is one of those examples where her personal pieces like really brought her up. Like they have really, really strong personal work. And what a great opportunity to really show your personality. She actually included her marking sheet as well. Whoa, she got exactly the same as Abe, I think. Weakest area is character design. And the nice thing is she actually does video blogs. So you can hear her reactions about first year and what she thinks of it, which is kind of cool. Oh, did that one? Yep, this one included their whole portfolio. This person's quite strong. Really good light drawing. Some of the better light drawing that I've seen, actually. Notice the variety of line. Some really thin lines, then some sharp line. And then also like minimal understructure. She drew through things, which is kind of nice. But yeah, just great variety here. Good sense of force, real good sense of weight and gravity here. Soft lines, thin lines, great variety. Same here, like this is not an easy pose because one shoulder is leaning towards you and then one's being pushed back. And even when we got some face detail here, which is pretty good for 5 minutes. Good animal drawings too. Notice how like with cat, I mean, you don't have to do this for portfolio, but with fluffy animals, it's difficult to not just get lost in the fluff. Like usually people always like see the fluff and they're like, I don't know how to draw this. This is just so much fur. But she made it, or they, I don't know, who's Karen, yeah, she made it much simpler just by breaking it down into the sort of basic component parts. And really good face too. Good hand drawing, great line quality. Nice sense of like not too much detail, but not sketchy at all. Awesome character. Had some actual drapery here. No, it's kind of strange. That fold is a bit odd, to be honest. It's just, it's really protruding out a little bit. It makes me think there's a little pocket there or something. But
maybe it's just not really thin belt.
Maybe. But yeah, the folds and everything is really, really strong on this one. Face, very consistent. Great dynamic pose. Did you see the bunny's face? That was so great. Like looking at bunny's face. That's amazing. It's just so simple and fun. Yeah, nice variety too. Notice that they changed angle of the poses. That's something to consider, especially with this year where it's more structured. Since he's just picking up litter, depositing it somewhere, like you want to make sure that you can still get a lot of variety out of those poses. Oh, 1 second. The eyes feel slightly off. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Not too bad. Great expressions. Good variety here. Like, look at that angry one. It's almost too much detail with all those teeth. Sometimes you just want to apply the teeth. This one's great though. A good sense. And the sort of upper angle of the character, that's a tough pose to do. But good if you can pull it off. Good storyboard, very clear. By the way, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but this is how I did it too, where you do the storyboards much bigger, and then you just sort of take a picture and shrink it down to the size of the sheet. You can either print it out and paste it, or just Photoshop it, or whatever you're using, just kind of composite it. However, I will tell you guys that closer to the portfolio dates, I'm doing a day here at the studio where any students can just come in, and I'll help you set it up. If you need to use like Photoshop or something, I'll like format it for you and whatever else. So if that's of interest, just I'll let you know where that is. But We're just calling it presentation day. Natural disaster. See, notice how there's a bit of a story implied with that. So we can sort of guess what's going to happen here. Yeah, some kind of snowfall or liquid, I don't know, rain maybe, a big windstorm or something. This is great. Oh, that's tough. Look at how they did that Coke. It's a little weird feeling, to be honest. It feels like it's a bit stubbier than this last drawing. That feels like it's a bit longer than, but I see what they were going for, and like, you know, applaud them for even attempting that. That's like a really difficult angle to get on a Coke bottle, but they did a pretty good job. Yeah, this is a fun room study. So they really made it cartoony. So remember, like, although you're drawing a room from life, you can still play with it a little bit. There's always room for you to sort of add your own creativity to it. So be inspired by life, but make it your own somehow. And here it's the perspective of the characters, so it's really nice. There's like a clear sense of story told through these two frames. Great character expression. Yeah, awesome. I think these were personal pieces. They included more life drawing. They knew that they were really good at life drawing. So again, if life drawing is one of your strengths, or whatever else is one of your strengths, you probably include more of that as one of your personal pieces. You really want to highlight the areas that you're best at. This is kind of cool. Interesting character piece. Yeah, it does. Totally. Yep, that's everything. Yeah, I really like this person's portfolio. Good overall. Kind of wish they included the mark. This is just some nice other characters somebody did. Good variety of angles here. Just nice and simple. Look at all those lines. See, this is where it helps to do it digitally. You just put all those lines in, then you can just draw it easily. Yeah. Last one. Yeah, this one, I don't know, I thought this one was really solid. Another example of just the simplest character, but like kind of still full of expression. This is always what I struggle out with the most. Just having a simple character. It's like, it seems like it should be so easy, but it's so difficult to get there. So yeah. Anyways, that's what we'll be talking more about today. So what are you guys feeling after looking through all the different portfolios? Encouraged, discouraged, a little bit of both?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah? Awesome.
It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
you can tell.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Anything else? Does it feel attainable? Yeah? Awesome. That's good. I didn't want to show these to you as a way to discourage. It's just like, it's good to know what other people are at. Do you have any comment, Ella?
No.
Okay.
Good.
Great. So, yeah, I thought this character was so great. One of my favorites I've seen. Oh, this was for the hand assignment. But I mean, what a great way to sort of show off a little bit your hand drawing, because that's a difficult hand pose to draw. It's like foreshortened, and yeah, that's difficult. So that would be a good one to think about, something along those lines. Okay. Whose is this? I don't know.
I heard a piece of kind of
What?
I heard that when the video went down, I heard that something kind of slide.
Okay. I think I'll start with Ella's here, since you're the first to kind of bring these up. So I'm just going to go over some things.
Okay.
Does this look like that piece? Oh, yeah. That's right. No, I think this one.
Ella, are you applying this year?
What?
Are you applying this year?
No.
Oh, great. Oh, awesome. So you got another year to for more joins. So I love, yeah, this is great. You're starting to experiment with the different, these are the new emotions that you guys need to do for your portfolios. Embarrassed, neutral, and eating something sour.
They all look the same.
Sorry?
Pardon?
They all, what do you say, Carla?
They all look very similar to each other, each one.
Yeah. Yeah, they very well could. That's part of the trick of it, is that like how to show like a full range of expression with each of those.
Yeah.
I find like, I'm gonna make more space here actually.
Yeah, you have to push it.
Yeah, and I was saying to someone the other day that, oh, oops. The thing with, especially embarrassed, is that everyone gets embarrassed in their own way. So like for one character, embarrassment might mean being angry, or another character might retreat into themselves. So I think they're trying to allow your character to show sort of who they are. With embarrassed, consider like what angle might add something to that pose. I always start something like this, just as a base, and I figure out what I like. Are they going to be looking up? Probably not. I would think in most cases they wouldn't be looking up, because being embarrassed, you're kind of like shy, or maybe just in the middle even. But so what are some things to consider? Embarrassed. You might have the lower lid come up a bit. Sorry, I'm not really using your character. I'm just going to try this first and see where it goes. So the lower lid might come up a little bit for the embarrassed, because it's almost like your lower lid's trying to like hide your pupil. You're like trying to get away. And see, some people, this is where it gets sort of individual to each character. Some people might have an aggressive reaction to being embarrassed. But I think most characters probably, especially like a main character, which we're going to be sympathetic towards, is going to have like a real kind of like, oops, sort of an impression. And with the eyebrow, you can like push this as much as it makes sense for your character, and even have it like come off of their head a little bit, if it really is that kind of like cartoony character. So where you place this is very, also consider how far, the more in that this eyebrow is in this direction, the more there's going to be like, if you think of like the space that it would take to do that, the more that the eyebrow is actually going to come out more. So if this is the side view, so if this eyebrow, what I was saying, Christy, is just that if this eyebrow is really kind of coming out in this direction more, then you really need this area to like come out more like this. Because this distance here is resembled by how, do you see how that makes sense a little bit?
Yeah.
Whereas if this is like way back here, then this area is going to be more rounded and attached to the head, just normally. This is like kind of more average. If this is actually coming off the head, is up to you. See, with the, I'm trying to think of simpler characters, because so many of those successful portfolios involve such simple characters. So probably the eyebrows didn't come off their head, or if they did a little bit, it was just like a subtle little tiny bit. So that's more like that. Although this is, the eyebrow would be way up here. But Let's see. Let's do that other eye now. So again, remember with a 3/4 view of the head, I don't know what the nose is going to be like yet. Maybe. So with that other eye, since this eye occupies all of this space basically, the other eye is, it's not going to be this wide, not even close, because it's all going to be sort of on this side in perspective going back a bit. But also you don't want to do this mistake where you have it going right to the edge of that silhouette. You want to leave a little bit of room probably for there to be a space between the eye, because when you do this, some people actually do this intentionally because they want to make their character more flat and graphic, like something that you'd see on a Saturday morning cartoon or something. But generally the eye is going to have a bit of space. And this is where I would vary the pose a little bit. So actually like bring up the eyelid even more on this side maybe, or something, just change it somehow. The pupil maybe be the same. That's how we're going to know that there's a bit of a difference. And probably best not to have these lines perfectly meet up like this, because you want to show that there's a bit of a lip created. So have that line overlap a little bit. Same like I did on this side. And with the eye, there's going to be an upper lid somewhere. See, if you did this, that makes it less intense. Do you see that? Like adding that lid kind of like, I mean, it helps to give them more structure, but what you could also do is have the lid kind of coming up back here. Because if you do that, for this specific pose, just being embarrassed, even though normally maybe you see that kind of come all the way around like this. Maybe in this pose, you could put it all the way back here, because then it feels like the eye's kind of bulging a little bit. See that? Because it's like the eye is actually kind of like leaving the socket kind of. So that's one way to think about it. This is a bit extreme. I kind of want to bring this down a little bit. Still not quite the same. You could always just change one completely. So that one was like more of a, like underneath. Because the nice thing is with pupils, the more white space you have around, the more kind of extreme that pose is going to be. I talk a lot about that in these character learning classes, that the white space is a really good indicator of like how crazy that person's feeling. So in embarrassed, I mean, you want to kind of push it to the extreme if you can, if it's right for the character. A main character is probably going to be a little less intense, maybe less dramatic than like a comedic relief character or something like that. So be aware of what kind of role that character plays. That's why we do the character profile sheet first to kind of get a sense of that. And the character profile sheet is just like a sheet that I give students to fill out basically. It's all just written and it just helps them to like understand the character a little bit more.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of a way to like make the nose even a little bit embarrassed. I mean, you could always do a bit of like a scrunched up kind of feeling where you have the nose wrinkles come out a little bit. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And there's so many different ways to draw noses. Like I've been kind of trying these ones that are like kind of coming right out. So from the side view, that's going to be like this basically. And then depending on how much cheek there is here, if I did a little something like this, then you're probably going to see that from the side view as well. And it might even overlap some of that nostril underneath like this. Do you see how that would make sense? Because you're implying that there's like basically a whole flap right here. And so this flap, the thickness of it might be coming out significantly, in which case it's going to be overlapping the nostril. Look at people's faces. You'll often see this, where the cheek you'll see the cheek actually overlap the nostril. Whereas if they have a very lean face or a specific kind of face structure, you'll see pretty much the whole nostril and then the cheek come out from it. So there's kind of a lot of different options there. With the younger characters, I try not to draw as much of this kind of thing. If anything, I'll just draw like, if they have really big rounded cheeks, because the cheek is like this whole shape, right? Like it's a big area. And so there's a lot of ways that you could show that. Just make a new layer and change the color for the sake of this. Ooh, this is way too intense color. There we go. So if this whole area is basically the cheek. See, they kind of look like a dog when they do that. But you just sort of have to pick the area based on like the weight of your character of how much cheek you're going to see. So maybe you'll just see a little bit. So we'll get like rid of a lot of this line. We'll get rid of this whole under piece. But if you show a little bit of this one over here, then you're saying that, okay, that's pretty bulky because this whole mass is coming up here so much that we're going to see a bit of a line over here from the cheek. So that's going to give them a bit of weight. But if it's pushing up like this, that's also, see how that gives them a bit of weight too? Because it's almost like the cheek is so big that it's kind of pushing up. Is there any questions, by the way? Everyone good?
Yep.
Can't see you guys all the time, so I'm just going to make sure. Whereas if they're a leaner character, you might even see the cheek sunken in a little bit. So that it's like, this actually isn't even that lean. The leanness is basically going to be determined by the angle at which it's coming in. So if it's coming in sharp, like that, see how they seem much more like thinner? Even if I rounded this line out a little bit, they seem a little bit bulkier and a little bit more normal already. Or if it's very subtle, it's just like a lot of people you can see the cheek, especially if their cheeks are larger. Is anyone Russian here or Polish? Sometimes have larger cheekbones. You can see like on the women especially, there's like kind of a larger cheek that kind of comes in here. So yeah, be aware of where that cheek is coming in. And obviously the distance from the eye of where that cheek is gonna give you like how broad that is. So from the front view, you might see like it come out quite a bit and then come down like that, something like that. Whereas if it's just simple and not too much, this is a pretty normal one. So that's going to be much more like that. A slight bump, but nothing too dramatic. You could also, this is like you guys know William Dafoe, the actor? Green Goblin. Green Goblin, there we go. So that guy has like the most prominent cheek, like, okay, 1 second. Let's take this. I think this is how you spell his name. Yeah, like look at these guys. Look at that. Like see these cheekbones, most defined cheeks. Kind of a creepy looking guy actually. But like his cheekbones are so defined. Like you can see them go all the way up into here and then come down. And that's kind of like almost like that crazy Joker look that you'd see with like Batman or something. Especially if you include some teeth.
Back in the 90s, where he was all teeth.
Huh?
He was knocking the teeth in the 90s.
Oh yeah. And often, like, if you want to make it even charming, you can have a little dimple back here. That's often created from basically this cheekbone coming this way and this cheek flap coming this way. You'll get a little, and sometimes you only see that. It's just like this. So there's like, cheeks are incredibly diverse. You do so many different things depending on what your character needs. Often it'll age the character though, so be careful of dimples and things like that. Okay, what else can we do here? So the eyebrows. So for the embarrassed expression again, I would maybe always think about differentiating each limb, or limb, I'm thinking of body action poses, like each piece of the face. So maybe this eyebrow is kind of like coming down a little bit. It's like, you know, this kind of feels a little bit embarrassed to me. Or one could even be like,
It starts looking confusing.
yeah, totally. It's nice to have a bit of a flow with the eyebrows too. So this one's kind of going up here. This one's kind of like, I kind of feel like they should be doing the similar thing because, yeah, you don't want to be too confused. It's more like shocked. It's almost similar to a shocked expression. And this eye could be coming out of its socket a little bit too. I don't know if it works, but you can even try putting a tear in one eye or something. Only if it's right for the character.
You could do the anime sweat thing.
Yeah. Mouth. So the mouth is obviously an extremely expressive thing, and we could do it so many different ways for embarrassed. Even the nostril. See, like before I kind of had this thing going on and then had a separate nostril coming in over here. But this means that this piece here is quite big to the point that it's like creating another line here that like overlaps. So from the side, you'd probably just see like that or something. Whereas like I was thinking of sort of combining them and then just like having a little. See, that still works. Just means that there is a nostril over here somewhere. Even nostrils, like sometimes you won't even see them on characters. You know, you'll just see like something like that. Maybe a little one over there. There's just like so many different ways of changing it. I'm just doing one of my kind of default ways of doing this. There's a lot of this too. I see that a lot of the time. Because often there is a bridge of the nose, like, but in cartoons you kind of have to fake it. And the nice thing about doing a nose like this is that you pretty much never have to worry about obscuring this eye. Whereas, but at a much larger nose, like that, then you're kind of obscuring some of the eye. But that can also be kind of fun because of more depth. But I think that's why this cartoon thing was originally created, so that you can always see the eyes. It's the most expressive. So what are some things that we might do for the mouth? Like,
You could be maybe biting his lip.
yeah.
Could you like close on one side and like open slightly on the other?
Yeah.
And again, I just want to make a simple indication of the expression without going into too much detail. So I'm not going to draw all the teeth and have it very simple. That feels kind of embarrassed. But you could also, okay, so I'm going to do mouth group. Depends how embarrassed they are. What do you think of like, what would be a good embarrassing event? Like you actually went to school in your underwear? Like that would probably warrant something like this. Be like, this is a little bit more appropriate. And when drawing like an open mouth, depending on how simple you want to go, and you can go pretty simple with this, but just be aware of what's overlapping what. So I find I often do this kind of thing. This is more of a stylistic thing for me personally. It's not something that you have to do, but just like I usually have the upper teeth coming out for some reason. I feel like they're like overlapping kind of like this. It helps make it even more extreme. And then sometimes I'll even like include one little fang tooth. This is getting into real specifics, but anyways. And then there's too much action in this area right here. So instead, I'm just gonna bring this guy out a little bit, like here. See how that's better? It's a little, well, actually the tongue's still affecting it. So maybe like this. Just give everything its own space. If there's too many lines in a particular area, try to simplify it a little bit. And the tongue obviously is like tongue studies. Basically a big piece. often like this, but then there's like, it attaches to the underside of your mouth. So there's like this flap here, and it kind of like if I were to do a cross contour drawing, I'd kind of be doing this, and then it would separate on the other side like that. So that's basically what's happening. So just make sure you're describing that volume well. So the teeth, I'm saying, are down here. Now I've widened them because this is cartoons and you can do what you want. No, that's too much. Not relevant. So this line, see, if I were to draw this more realistically, this line would probably come in more like this. But like lately, I've been really loving some of the expressions that people do where they actually like pull it right out. So basically you get like, it's so extreme that you might even get some of these guys. You know, like that one, but this gives it a bit of weight. You draw it a bit closer like this. He's basically this muscle, this cheek muscle, goes all the way down and attaches down here. And then all the way back here, and then back here. So you kind of need to indicate that it's being pulled. When there's any muscle being pulled, you're gonna see some kind of tension line. That's why, like with younger characters, especially where you're not going to get the William Dafoe kind of like that, like so defined. I usually just start this line a little bit in these kind of poses when it's actually being pulled, and then sort of catch the line down here, and don't continue to draw like that. That's doesn't make sense because that makes it feel too heavy. So just do that where like it kind of fades away, and this is also great line quality, which I mentioned we wanted to talk about. It's just like thick in here because there's a lot of action going on. It's like quite a dark crease in there, and then like light little lines here to indicate that it's just like a simple little fold. These teeth would not be overlapped here. You can even do this kind of thing where this is a really extreme character where you'll have like a lip. Bless you. Who's that?
It's my sister.
Oh, I was like, I didn't see anyone sneeze. Well, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes you'll see like a line overlapping the actual lip. I'm not going to do this because I think it's a bit extreme for this character. And then you might see like some crazy teeth up here. If you really want to make the teeth crazy, give them a little bit of gum too, like this. See how that's so crazy now? Or you could even like give them kind of crazy teeth. And it's okay, by the way, to have a crazy teeth shot in one action and not have that consistent throughout all of them if the pose really calls for it. Because that it's all about the time and place. That's why it's hard to have any like universal character design rules, because every character is going to be a little bit different. So if your character is an extreme personality, like yours, Taylor, I feel like your guy, because he's kind of like this big guy, I feel like he could have some pretty crazy expressions, and he's also older, so I feel like there's a lot that you could push with him. Another thing to consider is with the silhouette. Sometimes it's okay for the features to leave the area, or like, you know, the mouth could be coming out of it a little bit, so you might even have like this kind of thing happening. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. Yeah, like this mouth might be coming out of the silhouette, which is kind of fun, but it will flatten your character quite a bit. The more structural and kind of boring thing to do, I mean, structure is good, but sometimes you need to break it. But this is the more structural way to do it, is to just leave some space. Actually, that's a bit too far. Maybe do something like that. See, this is nice and safe, makes sense. The jaw is coming down, so whereas normally maybe it's like, you know, it'd be up here and come to there, since the jaw is dropping this distance. Again, like with that one character that you guys saw, that's not going to make this bone like move out more. That's just going to make it, it's a hinge. The hinge is right here. So it's basically, this is what's happening. Because whenever you're, I think it's normally like this, in this case, it's just going to hinge down to here. So this is just dropping So if anything, the jaw will be a little bit, it'll come a bit sooner, like that, because it's dropping down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like normally, like this, basically doing this. This is what the bone looks like. Skeleton class. So this joint here, you're just going to have it's just doing that. So it comes out like a little bit, but it's pretty, it's not going to like really flare out like crazy. But again, like this is like the most basic way to do this, but there's so many extreme examples where like people will actually make the mouth asymmetrical in itself. So maybe like one side, especially when they're really horrified. So one side might come down a bit further. Or it might start to make like an upside down moon shape, like this. You really want to like try to have fun with these poses because that's half of what it's about. And I think if you do, then it'll really come through in your drawing. Like look at how other people have done these kind of poses. Maybe there's no tongue. Maybe it's just this guy. The tongue could still be down there in the mouth, but we might just not see it. So this feels pretty embarrassed to me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Kind of looks horrified.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty extreme embarrassed.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make a little bit, where's the eyebrow? There it is. A simple way to make it a little bit less is bring these down more. Oh. Getting lost within my layers here. I think I'm just gonna, oh, it's in the, yeah. This is a little less extreme. But even the eyes, you could make a little less intense. Even try. No, that would change it completely. You gotta be careful with not breaking your character. Sometimes with the eyes, I'll even draw a bit of a sunken in thing like that. Gives a bit of structure to that upper lid area. You know, a little bit less extreme, but still kind of. See, the mouths are really, you can really do so much with them. Like this one's pretty good too. Really simple, but it works. You could, if you want to, you could even like push it around. You know, like, you know when they push it to the side like this, or
Oh, yeah.
So this is great because then it kind of feels like the mouth is kind of trying to leave the face because the mouth is so embarrassed that it doesn't want to be there anymore. So in this case, you can still have the whole jaw and everything be as it is. It might be coming back a little bit than normal.
Would you pull the jaw, like would you sort of bunch the cheek over at the left side?
Yeah, like you could, like this kind of thing. You could do that, but I wouldn't include that whole line unless they're an older character.
I meant like on the other side, like the where beside the ear.
The ear. Oh,
Yeah.
like back here.
Yeah.
You could. Depends how much cheek there is. I find often like the way that people are drawing these days, it's so simple that they don't even bother with that much structure. But yeah, good for noticing that is realistically what would happen. In fact, if it really moved over this much, you'd have like the whole thing going on over there. But you could do something like this. That would be a nice little subtle way of doing it, Carla. It's just like having just a slight overlap with where the cheekbone would be.
Could the opposite cheek and the jawline, upside of the face, kind of follow the mouth a bit? You see how on the right side it's straight down?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of going-
It's hard to I see what you're saying. That makes sense. But if you start to do that too much, like if I were to really bring this in, it starts to break the character a little bit. See, it's just, there are ways to do it, but it's just like the way that I was taught to do it is just that, like, always watch out for the bone structure of the face, because the bone structure isn't really going to change. You can change all like the skin and muscles and any of that, but the bones are going to pretty much stay where they are, except if you're drawing like Ren and Stimpy or something.
Like, you remember one character we saw that like the face was really bent and all that?
Yeah, like that grandpa. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like that. I don't know. That he was really good at doing that, wasn't he? Here he is. Yeah.
It looks like in that particular angle, he just sort of like pushed the jaw out, which is a realistic movement for the jaw to make. Like it sort of goes out.
Yeah, he just really made it extreme. Like it's like an extreme version of what normally happens. Also, it works with this character because he's kind of like a loose character anyways. Like I feel like he's very, very malleable. You know, like, so he is, yeah, like this is kind of breaking that structure, but even still, like, let's see.
A little bit different faces.
See, like normally, here's the hinge. Like going down here. This is basically what the structure is of the face. And notice that it's got that little cheekbone here, but like really strong brow. But he doesn't even worry about that brow on the other side as much. It doesn't, because it would normally be like kind of coming out, but he's made it work really, really well. So that's basically the shape of that face. But here, he's pushed, yeah, so the cheek coming out here. Yeah, it's really interesting. He's really like compressed it in. It's like almost like the mouth is the fold that's allowing it to compress. Still got a strong brow there. But yeah, so he's definitely like folded it a bit. More like this. So it's kind of like, this is where the principles of squash and stretch really come in. Whereas like in this one, it's super, super stretched. Longer than normally, probably. Yeah. Yeah, so there are definitely exceptions, you know. I'm just like, these are just the most simple little rules here, but if you wanted to like do this kind of thing, it also kind of makes age, you know, like it feels a little older with this. So you'd have to make sure that it works for your character. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's so many guidelines and rules and so many ways to break them. That's why it's like, yeah. Yeah, like you might even be able to. See, this could work. I don't know what it would look like normally, but.
Yeah, because with the neutral one, it's established that it's got like a really bulky jaw.
Yeah.
And that makes it less fun.
That's a little bit less. But yeah, it's an interesting little exercise. And that, like, where do you move this mouth? Be all the way up here. That's pretty cartoony. It's amazing how quick it changes them.
Yeah.
This reminds me of yeah, it reminds me of almost like a Goon, the Goon comic, if anyone's read that or seen it. They're very like, they have a big philtrum, which is like this piece here. The space between the, have like this kind of thing. Or like gorillas, you know the gorillas?
Yeah.
This is like exactly what they do a lot. It's almost like a monkey-like look. I love the gorillas and the whole idea of it, like creating an artificial band, so I'm kind of biased, but it's kind of like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, so there's just, you know, so many different, whoa, that was strange. I'll just leave that there since I'm completely screwed up my layers. Note to self, only do demonstrations with one layer. I thought it would be easier. Such is not the case. With ears, again, like you can play with this sort of indefinitely. Some people, if you want to do just the simplest kind of ear, just basically like that. Typical cartoon ear number 1. Maybe even less, maybe just like that. One layer more complex is adding two pieces to it, which is sort of more of what we have. This is a bit more structure and realism. And then maybe like, you can still keep that guy in there. And as you'll see a second one, getting more realistic. And then if you want even more realistic, then there's like all kinds of little internal lines here. You know, ears are crazily complex, especially from different angles. Yeah, pretty interesting. I usually err on the side of something simple like this. And if I'm going to fully illustrate the whole thing, like bring it to a level of quality for a storybook illustration or something, I would eventually fill in more details and figure it out as I go. But for line drawing, I keep it pretty simple. All right, this mouth is kind of freaking out a little bit. I'm just going to change it.
Whoa.
Like up there. Oh yeah, that's right. Now we have Picasso. Another thing that could help this character feel more embarrassed is their neck. Just for example, I feel like this kind of neck doesn't, well, it kind of works. It's like attention is being drawn to something right away, so they poke their head out. But what I was thinking for someone like embarrassed is that they're probably, again, like it's that whole
Like
feeling
the
like,
shoulder would probably come right up to his ear.
yeah, exactly. And which might make his neck like straight up and down, because it's like, it's almost like a surprise, like something has just happened. So it's like, I'm trying to make this work. Maybe even, I feel like this could be more. Yeah, like something like this where he's actually, his head is trying to get away. Everything is trying to leave. That's like the feeling of being embarrassed. It's just like, oh, okay, I need to get out of here. And even the hair, like, I don't know how you could indicate that. But it could be kind of like a bit more disheveled probably than it normally is. Maybe there's a couple extra little strands of like, I don't know. You know, something like that. I made him a bit older than I probably originally intended. So just be aware of that. Some things that are contributing to that is that line, already a bit younger. This line I could reduce a little bit. You get a lot of freedom with the lateral movement of this, eh? Like you can really push this quite a bit, but like up and down, that's when you really start to change the feeling of the face. Or like left or right, you can really play with it a bit, even the angle of it. I'm doing this on Photoshop, but just also try to enjoy the process of having to redraw things when you're doing this on paper. I know it can be like so annoying to be like, oh, I know this would be so much easier in Photoshop if you use it at all. But it's also a good practice just to redraw things a lot, you know? Like that's a good thing to get in the habit of doing. The eye is a little off center, I'm just realizing. It's just too convenient having that eye perfectly visible from behind the nose. All right. So how do you draw a face that's sour? I feel like I would want to change its mode. I can't, I'm just not satisfied with it. It's like an endless.
I like that. I like it for sure.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave this one for now, even though, you know, there's always work to be done. Okay, so sour. Let's do it. What angle would be good to show a sour pose?
Upwards or downwards?
Maybe looking up at him, because extreme angle.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Let's try that. Let's try a nice, difficult upper angle pose. So. That would be great. Please do that. Okay, so.
Has your pizza arrived?
What?
Has your pizza arrived?
No, it was my sister's friends.
Oh.
Do they have pizza?
Sadly, no.
Okay, so sour. What happens to your face when it's sour?
I feel like everything gets pinched, like, and pulled in, like.
Yeah, that was a good one, Taylor. Like just like. Yeah, so basically everything is probably going to move towards the center. So even the nose direction, it might be like, because normally it's like, you know, kind of like this kind of thing. Maybe now it's even going to be a bit more of an extreme angle, just slightly up, because it's like brought to attention, kind of. It's like a bit sharper than normal. I also think of like liquid, like leaving your face, like it's like you're drying out your face and you're seeing all the little wrinkles. That's why it'd probably be easier to do with an older character, because they already have a lot of the wrinkles. Whereas younger characters, you're gonna have to be a bit careful with which ones you include. There'll probably also be the eyebrows will probably furrow quite a bit, and then like Taylor's face, like there might be something like. There's just so many lines in here. Like you could just have a field day, especially with an older character, because like when you make that face, there's so much, and everyone's slightly different. It's just like a lot of. You kind of have to get used to which lines you might see, but there's a lot in there that you could include.
A lot of the lines can probably show too. Like how you have the nostril there. It's like show.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Good point, Taylor. Actually, I could like. Almost like.
You kind of have that thing where like the brow muscle overlaps this part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Like this kind of thing, and then maybe the other eyebrow is like actually behind it a little bit. It depends what kind of character this is.
Almost like a
Yeah, like this. This is where you might really see these lines come out more. Like this piece come out here. Basically, all the lines are pointing up to this direction. They're all going in here.
drawing an old character. My expression is good.
Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna age this guy like 30 years for the sake of this example. So, yeah, maybe like, see, even this piece, like if it was a younger character, I would include less of like this line here. Because that line starts to, that's like a heavy brow, you know, like a little bit heavier if it's straight like that. But still, it does age them a bit, especially if you have that other line that's often there, that one. And then, so the most amount, I'll just draw this with like the most amount of detail possible, and then I'll show it again without that much detail. So, and everyone's forehead muscles are slightly different, obviously, but there could be like a wrinkle here. Yeah, this could be. So this, we're going to see like a lot of that cheek. And most of it, like you said, Taylor, is going to be straight lines, because you can have like it's intense. It's like, these lines, by the way, the little crow's feet, they usually go around the cheek. So whatever that cheek is, sometimes you'll even see it carried on, less so in cartoons because it's simplifying, but and then there might be this other one up here. Sometimes there's like a whole bunch of lines up here. It's crazy, depending on what character it is. But then there's these ones, the horizontal ones, which also often kind of come in like that. So there's a lot of. So what's his hair going to look like in the future?
Maybe he's got a bald spot now.
Yeah. He's like a wise old monk now.
Practicing the hairs.
So even the silhouette might be broken by the eye a little bit. The eye might be kind of protruding from that, and then the cheek could be coming out. By the way, just for like general knowing, whenever you get this kind of pose where it's a 3/4 shot, oh shoot, it's not as up. I would have liked to make it more of an up shot like we talked about. Oh well. This area, this is so important. It's hard to explain, but basically all this side is basically where you actually tell us a lot about what the contour of the face is going to be like. Like how you define this is really going to affect what the rest of the poses look like. So really concentrate on that far side. So like if this eye overlaps the form, if the cheek really comes out, that's going to totally affect this side. And sometimes notice some people, have you ever noticed when those, like certain people, their upper brow actually goes in like this? It's like a curve. And then sometimes it comes in.
My dad really does that.
Yeah?
Yeah, his eyes are really sunken in.
Huh.
I see that a lot.
Yeah, like some people really have it where they can comes in, and then sometimes you'll even get some little.
Yeah, you're drawing my dad's eye right now.
So you can make this really extreme if you wanted to. I'm getting a bit too realistic here. And try to simplify it a bit, but like the cheek could really come out way out here if you wanted it to. And then if it's like a lean character, the cheek might go right down. And then you probably see this on the other side since it's so extreme. You might see like this. A sunken in cheek kind of thing, where there's like this cheek bone, but then the muscle is so sunken in that it's traveling in there and then it's kind of coming back out. Have you ever seen this on people?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll just see that even. And sometimes you see the combination of both, where it's just like this, which is really a bone and a muscle working together. But sometimes you see them kind of separated like this. Yeah?
A person that has really defined cheek bones like that is Cillian Murphy.
Yes! The scarecrow guy, totally.
There's also an exception.
Yeah. Yeah, he has really, really defined cheekbones.
Does he have anything else?
He was in Zone 84.
Well, he is big.
The chin, you could have a ton of fun with.
So most of his roles he's but he is
Even that's
Okay, so I've just completely changed the character.
It's starting to look like an old hag now.
I kind of want to open the eyes though, because I feel like some people might scrunch their face together like this, but you could also have the exact opposite, where like you're like the eyebrows. I feel like in this one the underbrows really, really start to come up.
Yeah.
Because you're like
an evil wink.
you're just like so shocked. It's like when you're not expecting to be sour. Or maybe even without the underbrow. And I feel like maybe the mouth, they just ate something sour. Maybe it's like that kind of thing. So that kind of feels more sour because this is like sunken in a bit now.
Maybe you just end up doing the written.
Yeah, if they so let's go down.
These are like the stages of
Yeah,
experience.
we're just gonna animate the entire process of eating something shit sour. Yeah. So there's lots of fun you could have with this one. So you could do something as simple as like this kind of thing. And it's like,
Anger, sadness.
or there's like the I don't know, similar to this one. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of different ways you could go about eating something sour. Let's go through some of our characters now. So we have about an hour left. So let's see. Hour and 20 minutes. Christy, in your second one, it looks like she's gazing up at something.
Yeah.
Like she's kind of, who is this? Next to something.
She's like,
Clone party.
somebody's about to draw me.
You keep the eyes on the hole. What happens when they turn? Because like
So
okay.
something more like that.
Doesn't tell the perspective.
Not that much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be, if anything, it'll protrude a little bit more. Like you've started to do this a little bit. I like the cheek.
That face in the first one.
Yeah.
I'm going to do these bigger.
I feel like you could get a little more expressive. Well, I don't know.
I thought it's supposed to be neutral for the camera.
Not necessarily. Well, their neutral could be angry. Like depending on who the person is, neutral means a lot of different things.
Like less.
Like I'm just pushing the pupil a little bit more down just to see what it looks like. I love this like sharp little beak nose though. That's great.
It probably wouldn't look like that from like straight on. But
You also have a bit of a,
stylistic choice.
you have a bit of a, oh no, it's fine. That's how it goes. Yeah, it changes with each pose. This one, see how it's a bit of a tangent there if it's coming out of the nose? So I'm just gonna maybe don't connect it. Just leave it like that. And then even this one, it's up to you. You could connect it, but you could also do one of those things.
The jowls.
Yeah, like jowls, that's what they're called, yeah. I'm gonna do a little,
I feel like instead of doing the email here, I'm just going to do a triangle here that's like pulled back.
Oh, yeah.
You can go towards there.
gonna make the eye slightly different and also the expression slightly different on each side. I like this brow that you've done here. Let's just stick with that.
It's like she's up to something.
It's a bit too far over. Yeah, just like subtle little things. Just try to keep these guys consistent. They're kind of like wobbling a bit.
Yeah. Maybe
And-
we could like just make one that's a bit bigger. Just like beside it.
Yep. What is going on? With the top, I'm not sure where this is connecting to, so just clarify like is there like a scarf that's holding this together, or I don't know.
was figuring, like, one of those, not bandanas, but I
Oh,
don't
one
know.
of those headscarves that
Yeah.
elderly lean on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then all that you really need is just like a little indication of what's being pulled, because it's just kind of floating here.
Maybe I'll just
You could just do like,
tangents. This line.
or this could be wrapping around. But yeah, just not too much lines. Fun little thin legs. Whenever you do the structure in the blue underneath, make sure to draw it all the way up to wherever it connects, maybe like here or something. It looks like you have done that a little bit, so just remember.
Not like
Yeah, so like this is pretty good. It's coming out a little bit more. Yeah, this eye feels a little bit misplaced. I feel like it's more like over here based on the width of this. Yeah, because remember this angle is going to be kind of going like this. Because it's like rounded. It's something to remember. And even make sure that you, well, actually it does look okay. This shoulder here, because this distance isn't that much, so just like look at where the arm might be, and it might be kind of like bent around a little bit like that. Even though it's pretty straight here, we don't know how, like if there's a crease up in there or whatever, so it might actually be bending a little bit. On this side, I feel like you can just kind of do this overlapping piece here, and then it can be coming out of that. Also watch this, kind of changed angle there. So rather this is going to be like, because this one's facing off in this direction, so this one's going to be based on this, what you've set up here. And also watch out, you kind of wanting this to come out a bit more, because it's on. Sorry?
You can go over the line that's already been placed there when it turns.
Yep. Well, like, yeah, because so in this case, if you think of this being on like a turntable, in this case, it's going to be, this one's going to be closer to us because this is sort of centered. Does that make sense? Maybe more like that. But just watch the weight then. See, now the weight might be a little bit off. You might need to pivot her upper body so that the weight is still maintaining up through here. So you might have to just kind of, what I would probably do. Something like that. So that she's a bit more forward. And yeah, again with the weight leaning forward too much here. And she's kind of leaning off to this angle here too. So just watch the center of gravity. But yeah, it's a cool character. You could definitely develop this further. Also, this head will probably be going into this, so you can have a bit of like a fold happening up here. Yeah. And the length of the arm is getting a bit short here. I feel like it's kind of going more down here like this. And the pocket is a bit flat here. I feel like this is, well, wait, what is this? This looks like one of those sweater pocket type things.
Although the seam is kind of going underneath it. So let's just assume there's buttons on the inside.
Yeah, just clarify those things. Yeah. Let's see what else we've got here.
The embarrassed expression.
Nice sour expression. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Like she's spitting the others.
Yeah.
Probably gonna make the lips a little further out.
I feel like that you could work on the embarrassed one a bit more.
Yeah. I
But-
kind of was trying to do that all the time. It's a little off model, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah, you could just, as long as you get the expression, it's easier to apply that to whatever model that you do have. And yeah, keep this sour one's awesome. Keep working on that. Also with like, I see what you're doing here, where you
the cheekbones going over the scarf. Is that?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But you just want to make sure that those, because you kind of separated them as a separate object. See how this kind of feels like it's just something coming out?
Yeah.
What I would do instead is have the cheekbone line stop and then continue around here. So that then you've got like this kind of thing. Do you guys see why you would do that? Just because
Yes.
like, you take this away, then it's like, okay, that's part of the same thing. Whereas right now it feels like it could be separate. It could be like another, or like this could
Almost
be,
like earrings,
space.
like these big, like if they were a different color, they could almost be like big gold earrings that are like sticking out.
yeah.
Very emperor's new.
Yeah.
Her hoodie will be like kind of bulky.
Oh, she's
This is Erica's. bet you guys didn't know you'd be doing a little show and tell today.
No.
This is pretty great. She looks a little coy. So you haven't done the specific expressions yet? I guess that's fine. You've got another year. So this is going to be an interesting character to do sour things with, because she's kind of like, she seems very cute, and it feels like when she's embarrassed. Well, actually, embarrassed would be really great with her. I feel like that's almost close to like where she's naturally, because she's kind of like a little bit coy. So, you know, just like things like the eyes, like making them. I'm guessing they're kind of fairy-like, so lots of white space. This kind of thing with the eyes.
She's embarrassed.
I love this.
Yeah, good question. What would the nose do with embarrassed? I almost feel like she might be smiling when she's embarrassed. Does anyone feel that? Like,
Yeah.
might be one of those
Smiling,
examples.
but with those like kind of slanted eyes.
Yeah,
I'm not smiling, I'm inside.
The nose would probably be
You can even play with the direction of the eyes. You ever notice that some cartoonists will actually break that line a little bit? They'll make it like bend a little bit more than usual. So like you have both the points in the beginning spot the same, but then like the actual angle is bent a little bit. It's kind of like, you know, a little bit tilted. Sometimes that could be used to an advantage.
Yes.
I don't know, it's tricky. She could get pretty silly too, though. Like, you could, The problem with the upper lid, which you really want to watch out for, is that it really adds sleepiness immediately. It's like less intense. Sometimes that can work. So she's kind of like, yeah. Or she could be like really embarrassed, where it's like, the teeth are coming out through here. Like the smile's like pushing more in that direction. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more embarrassed. Biting your lip, obviously a definite thing you could do for like embarrassed. Also consider with the we haven't discussed the action poses yet. I feel like that almost require a whole nother class, but when like even just in picking up litter, there's so many different ways you can make, like this character would be one of those examples where I think it would be kind of light and like delicate almost. So like the silhouette and how you draw them picking up litter, it's not going to be like you know, fully bent over like this kind of thing. That's not going to be like this character. She's going to be the one that's going to like be very careful, maybe bend and like carefully pick it up. Even still, she might have her head kind of tilted. So maybe one leg is kind of foreshortened towards us. Others pushing away a little bit. Something like this. Or she could even be like, this is really girly, but like holding her dress or something as she's bending over. So like maybe she is bending a little bit. But then the other arm. Kind of like holding her dress as she does it. I think the head rotation is the key here of what's going to give you that like delicate grace.
Or maybe even just stand on one foot. So, like an ballerina type thing. If you even want to like stream on.
Yeah, she is really delicate. She's a florist, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to be, and how she throws it away might be really delicate too. Lots of like nice curve. And she's like just so happy to have done it. Her other arm is back, which gives her a nice silhouette. Holding her dress. Yeah. Banana peel. Let's see what else we got. Ah, tailors. So let's see. I love like the variety here. See the nice geometry variation we have of like the big strong upper body and lower and tiny little lower body.
I love his hands.
Yeah.
And I love how the one with his
So this is he's seen the litter. The only thing I see the legs and how they're drawn here, I feel like they're a bit like wide open kind of. I feel like maybe you could still have this one bent, but it's just more kind of coming towards us like this. See, that still holds his weight. It seems weird, but it's just because it's the silhouette's kind of coming in towards us. You can still have this whole. Just trying to try something out here. Is this like an apron type thing, or?
He's like a surgeon.
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Oh man, I would not get surgery if it starts with my surgeon. It's like it would just be frightening. Just kind of like playing around with what I imagine the silhouette to look like. This is often how I begin silhouettes, by the way. It's like such a mess to begin with, and then gradually I start to make it more correct to the actual model. So this is where like light drawing totally pays off, because all that gesture work is like, you can kind of see what makes sense and what wouldn't really quickly. I love this hand. I just want to like take this hand.
I'll tell him that.
Huh?
I'll tell him that.
Who?
Russell, he might be a little shy.
Oh. At least the surgeon has great hands. Feels maybe a bit dramatic. I don't know. Like it might be something like this.
Crunch.
Yeah. Might have an overlapping thumb piece there. I love this little like curious, like, ooh, what's this? It's almost like playful, almost like a gesture or something. The other day, I was marking someone's character designs, and she had an outdoor naturalist type guy, and I was like, that's the perfect like opposite to like perfect one to have to interact with litter, because they're like a nature environmental kind of guy, and it's like, so he like has to react very extreme to the litter. So that's kind of a cool, almost built for that specific event. So the eyes are a bit similar here. You could just make them a bit varied. Maybe one's, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be just subtle, like. He's just a little bit different, but not really that different. I don't know. And again, that I can kind of go wherever, depending on the character. You kind of, oh yeah, you've got that kind of thing. That really works too, eh?
He's got a long nose.
Yeah. You even do that kind of thing. See, in this case, that's where, so from the front view of that, because there's a dip here, you're going to get something like this. Does that make sense? Probably, might even see the filter in line, that kind of thing. Up to you.
Yeah,
And with him, you might see,
because his head is like his face.
it's, sorry?
Yeah, because his face is round. Like
Yeah. Yeah, you could really bend this guy's face in a lot of fun ways, I feel. Even like how you treat his cheeks. I kind of added a bit here, but I feel like you could do some fun things with like his head. Maybe this is just my kind of style going here, but just like two kind of pieces, like, I don't know. It's up to you, but some things to think about. I guess he looked a little maybe off balance a little bit, but it's not, and you don't really lose much of a silhouette from changing this, like having the arm come inside versus outside. See how you still get nice negative space there, and you get the negative space around this arm, so you're not really losing a lot there. I love the little legs, that's great. Oh, the embarrassed, nice. That totally looks embarrassed. I don't know if this hand looks that accurate. That looks a little. No.
He's short.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a little symmetrical in this area here, and also like we're losing a bit of structure around the eye because you're kind of pushing it to the edge, which is kind of hilarious in a way too. But I would probably want to see a little bit of at least cheek indicated that it's there. You know, like something like this. Even that's a little bit better because then the eye doesn't occupy all that space. It's like going back in and then it comes out here. So yeah, that's one way to go about that. You could also just like show. And I'm kind of naturally rounding things out. You don't necessarily have to do that. It's just that the sharper the edges, the harder it is going to be to maintain that character, I find. That's just, I don't really know why. I just find that that's often the case. Because it's like, you do really angular shapes like this, then it's like, it's really difficult to maintain that from different sides. It's kind of, that was my character in my portfolio. It was very, very angular. It's like too much. But, and then this line can kind of come over the top. And then this one can kind of come out of there rather than being sucked up into there. Yeah, I love this coming up here. That's great. This feels a bit extreme. I don't know, like this is the rocket ship taking off outside of his head. You could do sort of halfway of that. So bring like this eyebrow. Maybe this one's dominating a little bit from this point of view, and then like this could come out like this. So you kind of got a similar thing going on without like such a symbolic kind of shape. And it almost, oh, is this his hat or?
Like
The surgical cap.
things are weird.
Oh, yes. So that might actually be angled upwards in this shot. I feel like it would be. Oh, and his hair is being pushed out from. So to make sure that they know that this is a very skin tight hat, you just have like a little fold, you know, like something like that. And then the hair kind of like naturally is being pushed out from it. Yeah, he really is like a Joker type guy on this. You have a bit of a tangent here. Watch out for these guys. Like we always accidentally do these things where like there's just lots of lines converging in one area that makes us confused of which line is which. So whenever there's something like this, I just start to. One thing you could do is just have this hair overlap, so that then this one's behind, like this. See how that's just a little bit easier to interpret. Watch how much this gear is coming in as well, because yeah, you want to end that pretty short, because he's got to have lots of room for that shape to happen here. Yeah, this eye looks good. Maybe separate the line a little bit so that it's overlapping rather than being like directly a part of that. But yeah, I love how he's like kind of giving us this like bashful little look. Like even just that. See how that already looks embarrassed? I wonder if there's anything you could do to the nose. I wonder if you could like bring it up a little bit. Have it like kind of scrunching here. And I kind of want to see more from this mouth. Well, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's similar. And then this is a bit sharp. I might like just. I love this thing. A lot of folks have this kind of chin. That's great. Yeah, just like a little bit different. And the shoulders are great too. You could even like put hands up here. So this is his neutral?
Yeah.
Nice. So he's kind of like got a, is he like an evil surgeon kind of?
He's yeah, he's really
Okay. Yeah, I would just give a little bit room for these lines, like let the lines have their own space, whereas they're kind of converging in some of the same areas. So like this one's nice here, I like that. This is a bit extreme, although his eye, yeah, it could be doing that. Maybe just like this. And then if you wanted, you could even have like little crow's feet or something like that, just for a little extra structure. Don't necessarily need it, but. I feel like you might want to show a little bit of the side of the nose there because it's kind of like connecting with what we're not really sure what's happening in here. Even if it's just this line that carries off there, that's fine too.
I'd like to give him an indication of the nostril.
Yeah, just like the beginning of it. Let's see.
The eyes are a bit crowned.
Yeah, this one's like, this is fine here. You just want to see a little bit of that shape around the eye. He's also got a bit of a derp thing going on. I feel like he's maybe looking in different areas. Maybe just like move that slightly. That takes a long time to get used to, honestly, just like the eye direction. And then this, if you wanted to, this could just come up there and then wrap around there. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, this is definitely eating something sour. I feel like the sour one is so extreme that you could just almost like make these lines really, really extreme. Like this one's kind of going around here. Like, I'm just trying to see how far we can push this.
That's cool.
I love how extreme that is, Taylor, where you brought the eyebrow right above the cap. That's pretty great. There's just so many lines you can include. It's like more of a matter of what do you not include. Just thinking, I just feel like it should be almost like broken off or something. I don't know. Yeah, the sour really gives you a lot of fun to play with. This, I don't know, this being sharp makes me feel like there's a bone there for some reason. So just like round that a little bit, I would say.
Maybe a bit closer to the nose.
Yeah, it could. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And like, yeah, these cheeks could be way up here, I feel like. Yeah. Just a little bit more structured. But yeah, definitely along the right track. Let's see what else we got here. Nice. See how the feet are rounded really well? That's great. That's exactly what you want to go for. The feet. Yeah, everything's working here. This is difficult. See, does anyone notice some things between these two?
The hands are not.
Yeah, there's a slight lean maybe, and the hands are coming down to too even of a spot here, I would say.
The paper itself is a little too.
Yeah, it could be. That's true. Yeah. So well, the feet look pretty good though. That's the thing. So I feel like it's not even the shoulders not in that spot. It's just like maybe it's just that.
Yeah.
You can see then this angle here is fairly. You see, it can even go up a bit more. Like there, that's pretty good. Yeah, just small little adjustment there. These shoulders are in perspective too. This hump is a bit extreme. I feel like it looks like there's an actual like something coming out of them. So instead, try to just have the shirt overlapping here, and then maybe just like a little piece that goes across there. Yeah, see the folds are a little simpler now. Nope. I feel like these aren't really not necessary. Maybe just like something like that if you really want. Strikes me as a guy that's going to have big back too, so there might be one of those.
And actually, I think you show an indication of his buttock or something.
Yeah, so there'd be a stretched line like that across it, but there'd also be like, if it's protruding a fair bit, there's going to be a line like this basically, because this shows that there's like a volume up here that is then making this fall, this stuff fall here. So yeah, you just wanted to indicate that.
This whole pelvic area is just a ball.
Yeah. This sleeve, consider your ellipses. So you're sort of making them even everywhere. Whereas I feel like in this case, we might see just this, kind of like the opposite. See that? Does that make sense, everyone? How, because we're not really looking up. See, like in this case, we're seeing, like if this was a ellipse, we'd be only seeing this part, not the part behind. So I feel like same with this. We're not really looking up the sleeve. We're kind of looking, it's kind of coming down. So we might not see. So in blue line, for sure, draw this behind to indicate that that's the width of that sleeve. But yeah. And also, the one thing I was thinking about is look at the head and mouth and cheek area. See how it's so voluminous? We're kind of like losing some of it here. So how do you maintain that?
You're using his face body?
Yeah, like it's kind of indicated here a little bit, but I almost want to see it like kind of like that, where it's not coming in as much. And then he's got a pretty big nose too. Who knows about cheating in animation? Cheating in animation, such an important thing. This is where, even though we probably wouldn't see it, we probably want to indicate a little bit of that big nose, even though it's a bit crazy. And yeah, probably not showing the eye. So then you're going to go. And just for the sake of the pose too, I would maybe move this hair facing up a little bit like this. See, it's like, Kelly, you probably did it right in that that's all that you would see normally, but just for the sake of his pose, see how this like feels a little bit more like him? So his head's, there's kind of a bulge here. I'm not quite sure what that's meaning to be. Can even make this a bit bigger. Because he's got a big, like, big round thing that's coming out way out here. You just want to make sure things are looking kind of consistent. It's looking a bit better. We've got consistent perspective throughout. Looking that way, down here. Yeah, just little adjustments here and there. Yeah, I might work on this one a little bit. It's a little bit extreme with well, I don't know. It's kind of fun actually. I kind of like the middle ball there. Yeah, his head moved a bit here. See, I know the page has moved too, but it's coming a bit forward too much. I think it's going back a bit more normally. And this foot, I feel like to just give that a bit of perspective, you might just add a heel and then have this more like this. And even these toes, like, I get that they're really coming at us, but maybe don't complete the line, complete the space there. Just like really indicate that it's significantly coming towards us. Like that, not sure. Like that kind of thing. And so there's going to be a bit of an overlap here. This is like when the foot's like from a little bit more off, it's going to be like this kind of pose. And then the ankle's here, ankle on this side. So this is like this part here, the heel at the back. That's when it's like rotated around this way. And you just see like a tiny little sliver of it, and then this big piece comes out here. Yeah. Just to give it a bit more dimension, it's just a little flat. Also watch your perspective. It's not too bad actually. Much better. This hand feels a little bit forced, like it's in a forced pose. So I'd work on making them a bit more naturalistic in some ways, like just like throw through fingers, okay. And then yeah, the thumb could be a little bit more rested, if you want it to be. I mean, you might be making some kind of hand gesture for a reason, but like it's a little more relaxed. He is a pretty extreme guy though, so I don't know. Oh, he's tossing it. He's tossing the litter away.
Yeah, I haven't been looking at it yet.
Yeah, nice. Seems pretty pleased with himself. That's great. You could have him leaning into it a bit more, maybe, but I don't know. It's
I
kind
like
of
that he's leaning back. It sort of like adds to his character.
yeah,
Smile.
yeah. This is great. A nice perspective of the legs here. That's awesome. This bend is a bit extreme in the hand. Or maybe have that a little bit more resting over. But yeah, good pose. Okar. I remember this guy from way back.
Did you take pictures of the expression?
Nope,
No.
I didn't. Do you have the expressions?
I have the sour ones and I have a neutral ones.
Okay. Let's have a look at those.
There's the sour one.
Oh, awesome.
There's the neutral one.
Yeah. I like that one. Ooh, what is this?
If you want to even like put it in the same shot.
Great. It's a little easier to do it this way, I find, than actually drawing right on top of the paper. You can like use your ears and yeah, these are pretty great. I like them. He's got like a lot of attitude.
Yeah.
So this is sour. Embarrassed is
just the one beside him there.
this
Beside
one.
the sour, yeah, that one. It's
Okay.
just neutral.
Yeah. Oh, this is neutral.
Yeah, it's sort of always his expression.
Okay. Is this one embarrassed or? are you-
No, I just have the two.
Okay. Yeah, this is great here. It's nice that you even brought the hands into it. I don't even know. I think you're allowed to do that. I don't see why you wouldn't be. But yeah, it's nice to see that. Helps add a bit to the feeling of it. See, I love that, like we were talking about before, all these lines are going in here, but they're all slightly different too. Like this one is kind of straight, and then we've got like a curve on this side. Like helps to vary it. And then the eye is really, it's going up. So this bend in conjunction with this bend, really make it feel kind of extreme. And then some straights, bunch of straights mixed with curves is always nice to see. And a bit of a wrinkle here. Yeah, I like that you tried to like bring the nose up a little bit. I might still have it coming out of the silhouette. In my memory, he's got a pretty big nose. You can do like another line in there. It looks like you did. Yeah, it's hard to tell what your mouth would be like when it's eating something sour. I feel like it almost gets smaller. You know, like it.
Yeah.
It's just like the cheeks Let's see. I don't know. But even the cheeks that are coming in here could be a little bit emphasized, even though they're not normally.
Mhm.
And yeah, maybe there might be an overlap here. Oh yes, this is what they do in cartoons a lot of the time. You know when there's like a sour thing, sometimes they have like actual lines. This might be a bit extreme for this character, but they'll actually like make like all these lines coming out of here because it's like,
Yeah, I
Like-
do have a few of them in there. Like I indicated the thing under the nose. I don't remember what it's
oh yeah,
called.
yeah,
And
I
a couple
see.
underneath the
That
face,
thing.
like that.
Yeah, Photron. Yeah, that's something to consider. I mean, not for any of your characters, consider putting some of those little lines in, like the mouth is like drying out, because that's kind of what it feels like to eating some sour. And the ears are kind of like also even pointing towards the middle. You kind of need to go out a bit more.
Yeah.
You can probably see this one from this side, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
You could also try, I don't know if this works, but I don't know.
Definitely could. Try some stuff.
Even like this eye being partially open is kind of fun.
That's great.
Yeah. This is a nice kind of neutral expression because it carries lots of character. It's kind of got like a mild, a slight like I'm better than you kind of feeling, like
Exactly
or
what I was going for.
or I'm going to like beat you at this thing that we're going to compete against or something, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for.
And this side's kind of like slightly more open. It's all in this line, eh? That
Yeah.
See how critical that line is right there? It's like there's something about it. I don't know. It's like, and combined with this one, of course, too. They both together make it feel like I'm not even gonna try and I'm going to beat you at this kind of thing. You could even have, I don't know if there is one, there might be one of those lines in there. And this is, of course, the like typical, like, I'm not even gonna put effort into this kind of like sneer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, well, yeah, that's good. And this, I like this here maybe being like straight out. Whoops, one there. That's a nice thing is you've got the flexibility to kind of like bend things as you want to. It'd be nice. I like the sour expression. It'd be nice to see some more extreme expressions like that.
Totally.
Like the embarrassed will definitely.
I have this fantastic one I did of him angry, but
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't bring it because he's on like a big thing.
Oh, okay. That's great. This one's good. He's like, this is like him being frustrated that he has to explain like a simple problem to somebody. Yeah, nice. Let's see. That they look good.
Like how you did the podium.
Oh, that's
that was
my
from
podium.
our- That's,
I recognize that podium. I designed a little turnaround thing for people to work from.
Yeah.
That's some extra, I think, if you guys want. He's leaning back a fair bit in this one.
yeah,
Just
he
be
is. I
careful of that.
couldn't quite get it right because he's got this little hip thing going out and all the other pictures, but I couldn't quite figure out that angle. Just like,
Yeah. Let's see.
yeah, I feel like his shoulder would be forward a little more, and maybe we can see.
Honestly, I think it's just a matter of like that.
Yeah.
That's like still forward, but not like as extreme.
Yeah, and it still carries the same sort of poses.
Yeah. This arm feels a little bit different here.
Yeah.
But,
Seems a little long.
because his hand's kind of back in this one. It might even be like beyond. It's nice to get some occasional music from Ella.
Try.
Yeah, right about there.
Yeah, I feel like this is. Then you still have a bit of a negative space happening right here.
Yeah.
That's always nice to have. A little bit of that. And then what's this other arm like? Well, it's just flat against. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna be probably down like this. I think this might be coming in a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That midline, always super important, especially when they're shirtless or something. Good back head though. See that? This is great use of overlap here where you have like pointed chin, but all see that this muscle from the neck overlaps the neck.
I
And
could
the neck
probably even stick
overlaps
his
the
nose
chin.
out there a little.
Yeah, I would too for sure. Like that.
He's got his. Yeah.
Oh, see that tangent that I just did? See, it's funny, we all gravitate towards tangents because we're trying to create order. It's like a way of us like trying to impose our sense of order on things, but really we want to have like a little bit more, like something like that, just so that it's not overlapping. He does have a bit of a cheek.
Yeah.
Anyways, so. It's really going to be fun to play with the fire, like really
Oh yeah.
try to use that. Maybe even some of your expressions.
Yeah, I used it. I wish I could have brought that angry expression because I really used it in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the sour relish.
I don't know. You could have a lot of fun with something like that. Yeah. Okay. I think I forgot to do, oh, it was actually at the beginning here. It was just the main document that I was doing all everything drawing. So, nice. You've got real like subtle things happening. I think you get to push it a bit more. Like with this one, like really just bring those eyebrows up a bit higher. And like her eyes, I want to see more white space around her pupils.
Okay.
So, like, see, just even that is like a little bit more like shocked. It's like when you're kind of wide-eyed because you're like, people just discovered you or something. She might even, see, this is a good challenge actually because she's got a fairly realistic feeling face. You could consider showing a little bit of teeth in this specific pose. Even if it's just like that.
Okay.
It's like, oh crap. Maybe. Yeah, and that could be like straight up and down, like kind of more of an extreme angle. still want to open her eyes even more. I just want to like, this is changing her character a little bit maybe, but let's play with it for a bit. Yeah, see, this is a bit better. Just giving a bit more range to the eyes, for what they can do. It's a bit more embarrassed. The neutral one I might not do from the side because it's a little. I mean, it works, but it's gonna. I feel like this is a better neutral one here.
Okay.
Because she's got like a bit of attitude. Like I like that. She's kind of like it's this angle mixed with like this angle. I think that kind of like does it. These ones they like. It's slightly, you know, this one's this way. This one's kind of going off slightly to this direction. It favors that direction more. And that subtle thing, it really adds to the character. So I think you need a bit more here for the eating something sour. Like again with those lower lids, like really play with those lower lids. This is maybe a bit extreme for your character, but easy to draw cartoony and then dial back. And you know, you can change the angle a little bit. Okay, this one's a bit crazy right now, so everyone just bear with me. You might really see like nostrils flare in this one a bit more. And maybe even favor one side, you know, like they often do that. Like, see, it's kind of those lines. That's like the trick of this. Like they really change it. Do it too much. Yeah, see, with realistic characters, it's all about the subtlety of it. So maybe now you'll have a bit of a cheek overlap on the outside. She's quite a strong jaw on this one. Careful of that, as it can bring a bit of masculinity. Depending on if that's right for the character, that works, but it happens intentionally. So putting some internal lines here to like build the cheeks a little bit out, so that there's a bit of a like a little bit sunken in here, because that's kind of what the sourness is doing. It's like really making them. This one's a bit extreme. Yeah, it's like a constant massage kind of thing. Another option you could do here, so I'll leave this one. And then I'm just going to duplicate that actually. This is a pretty extreme version of this, by the way. So it's like, don't feel like you can dial this back as much as you want, but I'm going to push it to the extreme so that it will be easier to adjust afterwards. You could also do like, actually, this kind of works too. Kind of different angles here, but either one of those can kind of work. And always feel free to like change it. I'm just giving you like one option. You can change it, adjust the eyebrows, maybe even like try flipping them. Well, that was weird. But, sometimes that works a little bit better. You can just like make them a little bit more down like this. I don't know. You can change it as you want, but that's just some different options. Just, yeah, push it a bit more. You can get some more extreme things here. Is this a character that you're working on?
It was from last year. It was like a project for school, so it wasn't like very, I don't know. It was
Okay.
not something I do often, so I don't.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you just need to worry about your center of balance, and this one's a little off. She's kind of she might fall over, but also her foot.
Very
You just need some overlapping lines. So like this line needs to kind of come back, and then that needs to come out, and then you've got that sitting back like this. That would be a little bit stronger of a foot, maybe even a little line indicator there, and then like same with this one, just a little bit more structure here.
Okay.
And a little knee indicator maybe. And with this one, like with the eyes kind of going right to the silhouette there like that, that's going to really pull you into anime territory. So yeah, just like even like this kind of thing is a little bit better, so that there is still some room to like actually have the edge of that cheek. Because you always want, no matter what your character is, if you're trying to draw a character that's like demonstrating structure, you always want to have a little bit of space right here.
Okay.
Because then it's just like impossible that that eye could be right over to the silhouette because of the roundness of the head. You're always going to see a little bit of that skin, unless it's like a real profile where it's something like this. You know, something like that. That's gonna, then that eye is gonna be touching the negative space beyond. But usually when it's a 3/4 like this, you're always going to see a little bit of that skin on the other side, no matter how bulgy or big the side is.
Okay.
Right, big equals. Yeah. Give her a little bit of an expression, maybe. So for line quality, guys, I know everyone's sort of in rough stages right now, but just when it does come time to sort of finalize things, like what you basically want to do is take a sheet on top of your drawing, because Sierra's already got some fairly established poses here. Like you could very easily just put paper right on top and start to carve this out a little bit. And you want to get like, try to go for a nice like thick, moving into thick and thin approach. You know, like some of those best examples that we looked at earlier, they had really nice line quality, like really clear overlap that thins out. And like, I know it can take a long time. I actually found that the line quality piece of it sometimes took me like the most time. So it's kind of crazy, but you can really spend a lot of time just making those lines like really nice and thin. And sometimes the interior lines are a little bit softer. So if there was like a cheekbone here, that would be a little bit lighter intentionally. Whereas like her larger nose here, it might be a bit darker. This brush actually, if anyone has Kyle T. Webster's brush pack, it's like a very standard Photoshop brush pack. This brush is called the thick and thin brush. So it gives you a really nice like variety of, and a lot of the brushes do in Photoshop, but this one in particular is, I find, pretty good at it. Not that you should be worrying about digital stuff at this point. We're all drawing with pencils right now, of course. Yeah, so just like nice variety of line there. Even with the lips, like one thing that you could do actually, Erica, is you could have, wherever there's a shadow, you can almost like make one solid line like that, and then just like this kind of thing. So what that's going to end up looking like is like that. See how really that you're shading the whole upper lip, but it also is drawn as just one line. That's definitely possible. Yeah, like this again here. I really like that effect. Some people might not when you draw the upper line as like one solid piece. It depends how big the upper lip is. You don't want to do like, if you have a big upper lip, you don't want to like do the whole thing as like one big solid block. But if it's just like a little thing, like, well, you can totally get away with that being one line. Does anyone have any other questions? We have 13 minutes left. Is there anything else that I can cover for you guys? Did I miss anyone's particular pose that they wanted me to draw over? Or?
I think you're being pretty thorough.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
What about
Okay.
hair? Because that character has a lot of
Hair, of course, yes. So much thought can go into the hair. What's a good one? I think this was actually the best example here. So yeah, I would try to simplify it, but like remember that some of those characters that I showed you at the beginning, some of them were fairly complex. Like they did have a lot of hair, like Belter, that one, the alien one that had like all those little details. So it's like it's okay, except unless Nancy Demons marketing. She likes simplicity, but it's really crazy actually that they're still saying that characters have to be super simple because almost every character is modeled in 3D now. So I don't. It's only a matter of time until Sheridan kind of catches up to that. But really, like you should be able to make your characters as complex as you want, with like enough time to draw them if you have that. But just like really look for the overall folds of the hair, and try to just simplify as best you can. So you have kind of like this piece. This can go up there and fade off. I'm just kind of getting the general shape of it. This piece is pretty important because this is like kind of obscuring her eyes a little bit. So I would probably include this piece. Variety of shape is important. So maybe there's some pieces that are just thinner strands that branch off into the larger ones like that. Not too much of that though, because that gets pretty detailed. In fact, I'm kind of second guessing that one, but then this piece kind of carries that same flow that is created by this one. And if hair is hitting something like the shoulder, there's probably going to be a strand indicated or two like that. So yeah, this area, you have a bit too much action kind of going on here, what with like this kind of bending up and then coming back around. So what I would do is just like look at the overall, this is important too here. These are all, both of these ones are two main folds. So I would keep those for sure. But all the rest I would try to simplify wherever I can. See, like here, I kind of want to just combine it into one piece. And then there could be overlap still. Yeah. So it's like, still have a fair bit of detail, but it's also pretty simplified. And leave some room for thinner, like maybe some thin strands as well, occasionally. Like that. It is a bit of a disaster to animate, to be honest. Like hair, a lot of hair is always tricky. But very few things are hand animated these days, so I say that with like some distaste because I really love hand-drawn animation. But you know, things are going in the direction of 3D, so for better or for worse. What do you think, Ella? What are 2D or 3D?
I like them both personally, but
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. Really, I mean, I'm more of a story person, anyways, rather than over the medium. So as long as the story's good, you could make it with like a bunch of popsicle sticks, and I wouldn't care. So, and it would be stop motion, so that's fine. Yeah, like with this side view, I would just look at what strands you have going on. So this one is here, I can see. But see, it covers a bit more of her eye, so, but you're right, I would probably cheat it. I would probably cheat the hair and make less of it so that we can see the eye more. Like this. And then it kind of wraps around here. Something like that. It doesn't have to be I know a lot of you tend to like make the hair the exact same shape everywhere. It's not, they're not going to be so fussy. Like you're probably going to be fussier than they will care to even notice. But obviously don't completely change the feeling of the hair for each pose. But if things are not working, like for example, all these pieces back here, if you want to change that a little bit, it's not the end of the world. Like you could still have the same general clumps, but there's also probably going to be some new stuff going on back here as well. And like you don't have to have the same straight line there. Maybe that's like just straight from this angle, but behind it, there's like all these curves up here. So it doesn't have to be as exact as you think. I like that the ear sticks out, by the way. I think that's a good design decision. Just helps to add some variety there. So yeah, this hair on this side. It's like, because you see, this is kind of, it's more flow based, so it's not as literal. So you're just going to kind of have to get the same feeling of it without worrying too much about being 100% exact, and just making sure that the chin overlaps that. I love working with hair. It's funny because I actually, when I was in school, I hated hair. I never wanted to. I think some characters I even made bald because I didn't want to draw hair. I would do like whatever I could to avoid hair. But now, like, I've really come to be comfortable with it. It's one of those things where like you subconsciously know that you're weak at it, so you're like you overcompensate for it when you're drawing. You're like, all right, I'm gonna like really work hard to spend more time on this. Just like when I was entering Sheridan, I feel like I wasn't very good at perspective, and I didn't like actively attack it. I wasn't being like, okay, I'm gonna do like perspective exercises on my own all the time. I just like was aware of it, and then over time, I started to sort of subconsciously care more about spending extra time on getting the perspective right. And now I love perspective. So it's just one of those things where you start kind of cracking away at it, and then gradually you have like a nice result. But you're not going to be good at everything right away. It's like impossible to do that. So for now, like for the portfolio, highlight your attributes. Your best things, do more of that. You like doing character design? Have all of your personal pieces be like tons of characters, or like show a comic where it shows one of your characters doing a whole bunch of different things. So we have 5 minutes left. Oh, let's see Ella's cat. What's her name?
Her name is Luma.
Luma. Cool.
I thought it was a drawing. Actual cat.
So 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions about Sheridan portfolios? I mean, we have our course coming up next Thursday for the next 6 weeks. I don't know who's a part of it, but you can sign up for that. But is there any questions that you want to just throw at me right now before we end? Covered a lot of character design stuff today, but just
Yeah, it's
sort of
really thorough. It's like questions.
great. Well, if there's anything that you guys think of.
How are you guys feeling about your drawings? Did you get a good chance to work on them today?
We didn't. We pretty much, I was going through everyone's drawings and like marking them and kind of talking about what they could do differently. We didn't do too much additional work on top of that.
I think I'd highly recommend is the soonest opportunity you have to work on that. Now we've been recording this, so we can send you a copy. So that, you know, because you might have to just go home tonight and draw this. If you can, great, because it's always best. Within the first 6 hours, honestly, is the best time to learn so that you retain it. If you review within 6 hours, you remember more of it, but at least within the next 24 is ideal. But it certainly helps if you have the video to go through it and do what you're seeing in your own interpretation on your drawings, right? True.
And I can also send you guys all of these drawings that I helped you guys do today with your own stuff.
Perfect.
And we can always, I can be sending you all of these. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll get that ready in the next. Do you usually just upload right away? I do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So it takes us a little bit to process it, but we should be able to get it out, do you think by tomorrow or Monday?
Sorry?
The video.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll upload it right away.
Super.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
so what do you guys think?
I think I have a lot of work to do.
Always.
Yeah. So, do you feel a little more secure In what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How are you feeling, Taylor?
Well, I've got a lot of great feedback from you guys.
Good.
Just, I'm glad I got it. I can already see this part what we drew over. Makes it much better.
Your idea of what to do. So, you know, and when you see, I guess we were talking the other day that it's a pretty common thing in animation education to kind of show how, you know, the particular teacher might interpret this, right? You said your prof did that a lot.
Yeah.
Was it first year? Or just
Yeah.
always?
Yeah, he really had a style set, and whenever we bring up our work, he would just like apply his style to our drawing, and it's like that's why I'm like very, you know, I'm cautious with doing this kind of thing because I'm gonna like be applying all of my own style biases to your drawings. But there's certain, I hope I can like help you get through some of the weird structural things at least, some of the bad habits that you might be developing, because every now and then you just don't know what isn't communicating the way that you hope it does. So I don't know. So just take everything that I'm doing with like a very big grain of salt in terms of like how you have to do it. There's so many ways to do any of these things. And a lot of the examples that we went over at the beginning actually of the portfolios that people submitted, it's so much simpler than what I'm doing. But you can always subtract lines. Like I think it's better for me to give you more lines to work with that you can just start to pick away at and see which ones you don't really need to make it still work, rather than not to give you like enough. So that's sort of the philosophy that I'm going with. You can rethink this.
Yeah, so like he's giving you examples of if he were to do this, how would he do it based on all the learning and all the draw overs that he had when he was in college. And then you take that and say, what are you really learning from what he's showing you here? It's not to say you have to do it the same way, but what was he kind of pulling to your attention that you have to say, okay, you know, there's a structural issue here, or this was too complicated, or there was an angle that wasn't, you know, working. And take from that and say, okay, how, in your hand, how are you going to interpret what you're seeing as an example, right? They always want to be true to who you are, but we got to learn from these pros that have been through years of training and have been working as a professional to see how could we maybe do that in a better way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's great.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah. So how you feeling, Chrissy? Good. Looks like you're more on top of it now. Yeah. Good.
And this is our little write-up for our course that we're doing starting next Thursday. This is sort of the loose structure that we've made for things, but we can move things around, and that, like if you guys want to focus more on something else, we can change it very easily. So just keep that in mind. This is just a structure that me and Karen sort of thought up. So a lot of it is focused on character design, because that's often one of the weaker areas, just generally, because it's kind of a new thing to do. And storyboarding, which is great, because as we saw, storyboarding is worth like a ton of different marks. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, so that, because all of you guys were at our summer camp, so this is different in that you're working on your portfolio pieces with your characters, with your stories, also the characters are given to do the storyboard, and helping you just work out how you're going to do that, and just assisting you in that process, right? To make sure that what you want to communicate is coming across effectively. And if there's any sort of, I don't know, are there errors? I guess there's errors.
Kind of. I'm just.
Ineffective
It's
things.
usually just a way of like you're trying to draw something a particular way, but it kind of looks like something else. Like if you do like a curve and it looks more like a bone than a muscle, like things like that. Those are some things that it's good to like get a hold of those early, so that then you realize like how they're going to see it, because you just never know like how the portfolio marker is going to see your work. So
yeah, just even getting that objectivity, even from your peers. And that's one of the things that's nice about, you know, working. And I think that's nice about this group, that you guys are really respectful of each other's ideas and just supporting each other in your own development. Like it's such a nice group that way. There's no because you all trust each other. You're your own artists in your own way, and it's just encouraging and supporting each other to come up with your ideas. Make sure that your ideas are reading well, because it's just the same thing. Like somebody tries to write a story, and they think their ideas coming across strongly, and it makes sense to them because they wrote it, but somebody else reads it. I don't see what you're trying to say. So, and visually too, and if we're trying to tell a story with this very few lines, so is what you're wanting coming across, right? So that's one of the things that Garth would be helping. Sure, and then your classmates can help that. So, or even just to help you guys get it done and have that reason to come and carve out that 3 hours every week and go through it systematically so you know you're going to get done. Even to just, it might be even worth just to do that just for your peace of mind. Unless you're somebody who's really, really structured and you've got amazing discipline, great. Like that one student you had, Rebecca, that you guys met, she's a very disciplined student. She just had a crazy, work ethic kind of thing going on. But I know for me, if I didn't have some structure to make me do something, I had trouble making it. I'm not like Garth, who's so wonderful. You have this wonderful work habit too. Or David Caesar, who sets his timer at lunch break. I'm drunk for 15 minutes. But I find it helps me to be in a place I'm doing this now. And then you feel more relaxed knowing that you're kind of on top of the portfolio because of that. And the more you get things done, the more capacity you have to be creative. When we have a lot of stuff weighing down our minds and all these things that are unfinished, it's very hard to be in an up mood or in a creative mood. So what I recommend is that you guys finish what you've started. The things that the closest to being done, finish it. It's closed cycle. That, your computer in your mind here, it's closed, it's gone. Ready for the next thing. So start chugging away and get things done. And you will feel so better. And then if there is something that's challenging for you, like maybe you're procrastinating on the thing that's harder, like don't necessarily start it yet. Finish all the easy things, and then you'll have that energy and the capacity to handle it. And then as soon as possible, you want to get at that thing that's challenging you, because sometimes that procrastination also kind of can pull you down. There's a really great, what's his name, Brian Tracy, really amazing mentor in business, and he's got a book called Eat That Frog, which he means go after that thing you've been procrastinating on and do it, and you will feel amazing. But to have the capacity to do that, you got to close all the unfinished things, and then you'll have that. Okay, I'm ready to eat that frog. Okay, so if you feel you need that extra assistance, Garth starts this Thursday, 6:30 to 9:30. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So. And if you guys feel like you need to do 6 to 9 and everybody's cool with that, that's cool with me too. I don't care, whatever works for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So, good. And do you think this is the last monthly mentor meetup?
Well, I guess, there's one more before the
We
portfolio.
could do one more before the portfolios due.
I do want to do that big presentation day where, whoever wants to set up, get all our portfolio pieces arranged together, printed out and all that, we can do that, but that'll be closer to the actual date. I think they're in early March, so it'll probably be late.
Did you tell them what you're planning?
Yeah, I mentioned briefly. It'll be in late February here, and I don't know how it's going to work. I'm just going to stay here all day, and if students want to come in, I can help them set up, and we'll just do the whole thing in one day rather than you having to go to YouTube tutorials to teach yourself how to use Photoshop and it will just be so much faster. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a portfolio prep day that you want to do.
Yeah.
I guess we could do one more mentor meetup. And do you guys feel it's better to do that with Garth or me, or do you want to split it here? We could split it half. Yeah, I usually look at the object drawing and perspective stuff, right? And if you are going to do any sort of layout, sort of concept art, that's the stuff I focus on, and Garth focuses on the characters. I suppose it might make sense to do a half with Garth.
Yeah,
That way we
do
can
that.
kind of look at everything,
Mhm.
because you're going to be so close to the due date by then.
Yeah, you could have another critique and
So we could
session.
do half character, half the structural drawings. Although Garth, you're perfectly capable to help with the structural stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So
Especially
you
in
could
this
just do the whole
context.
thing if you want.
Yeah, sure.
What do you guys feel? What do you need? Do you want half or just all Garth and half with David?
I'd like to go over this.
Yeah.
With Garth or with me?
Oh, don't
Doesn't
make
matter.
us choose.
Don't make you choose. We're both good at it, right? Just whatever you feel is right for you.
Just email us.
You
let
can
us know.
email us if you feel put on the spot or whatever. We're just here to help support you. Here for you guys. We have no ill feelings between us, right? All right. So, and the thing too with that, if you decide to take the course, if you guys say, you know, I'm good with my characters and I need help on my fantasy kitchen, you guys can do that with you, right? But it doesn't have to stay to what that curriculum is. This is for you guys. It's not like set in stone, right? Right. So, all right. So, well, it was really nice to meet Ala.
Yeah.
Ala.
Take care. We'll send you this video shortly.
So welcome to our group, and we will be seeing you more, right?